some liberal, depending on who you ask. We're going to have what I refer to as an open forum. Simply put, we're going to let you guys ask questions. We want to keep the show entertaining. We want to be able to better the show whenever possible. So occasionally we do have these. I think this is about the third or fourth one where we let the guests, comment, suggestions, complaints, whatever. We don't block, ban, or censor any damn body. So if you got a complaint, you got a comment, or if you got a compliment, we take them all. And today is what we're going to do in regards to that. So suggestions, things like that. Also, that's in regards to the show. But we're also going to be talking politics as usual, and we have an open forum. You know why we're having an open forum today, folks? Fact is, I can say this with somewhat a mild amount of delight, a mild amount of delight, but it is indeed a slow news day. It's a slow news day. It's one of those news days where nothing controversial has happened. We haven't set any immigrants on fire. We haven't thrown any gay guys down the incinerator. Nothing really, really bad has happened. Now we're at war, so there's no denying that is happening. But I think this is day 10, 11, 12, whatever the case may be. So we've been at war to the point where everybody knows it's happening, and we've kind of gotten used to seeing the news from that. So, and I see in the comments, Arlita says, you just wait. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. Under President Trump, breaking news comes in at the speed of light. I mean, I can skip a day here, and usually the next day I'm on, I got like 3 or 4 things that happened since I've been gone. So, I mean, it moves that quick. So I agree with you, but Gen X says the day is young. Well, listen, it is almost 5:30 Eastern time, so it's not that young. It's not that young, but listen, I mean, it is what it is. President Trump does more before, remember the old Army commercials, do more before 6 a.m. than most people do all day? That actually does pertain to President Trump to some degree. He does more by, a certain period of time during the day than most presidents do all week. So that does pertain to President Trump. That slogan, I mean, it's an older slogan. I think they stopped using that early 2000s, late 90s or something. We do more before 6 a.m. than most Americans do all day. He's like that. President Trump is like that. He does more, let's say, in a typical week. I would say President Trump does more before the second of the month than most presidents would do in an entire month. And when I say do more, I don't mean legislation. I don't mean things that are good for America. I mean in terms of getting on the internet, giving speeches and statements that are going to go down in history as controversial. He is indeed the most controversial commander-in-chief we have ever had. And when I say we have ever had, I'm not just talking about in our lifetime. I believe President Trump will go down in history as the most controversial commander-in-chief we've had out of all 40-some-odd presidents. So we'll see. And I see in the comments, XCAC says none of it good, though I don't agree with that. I don't think everything about the commander-in-chief is bad. I mean, there's Operation Warp Speed. It's something that came from Trump. That is absolutely good. I don't favor how he rolled it out, leading some folks to believe the vax was poison and all of that shit. But most folks on the planet, most of the scientists and all of that, credit Operation Warp Speed as saving millions of lives. That came from President Trump. So it's not everything Trump has done is not all bad, but there's enough of it in there. So I get where you're going. Rod S, appreciate the TikTok cap. Yeah, you guys can help your boy out with the TikTok cap and Hat Mustache Ghost. Thank you very much for starting the program out. So I'm gonna go ahead and start tackling the comments. This is a simple program today. We're gonna have an open forum, but there are things going on, obviously. Number one being the Iran war. And I don't have many clips today because it's an open forum, but I want you to hear something, because there was a Senate meeting earlier today, not long ago. This is Senator Blumenthal speaking on that.
I emerged from this briefing as dissatisfied and angry, frankly, as I have from any past briefing in my 15 years in the Senate. I am left with more questions than answers, especially about the cost of the war. We seem to be on a path toward deploying American troops on the ground in Iran to accomplish any of the potential objectives here. I emerged from this briefing.
It's starting over, but we mentioned that on the program yesterday. I personally stated yesterday, and all of my lives are saved in the archives on YouTube. So this is one I think will age well. But I stated, if you listen to Trump's objectives in Iran, that being that we want regime change and we want a say-so in who they put in. Now, they've already put in the Ayatollah's son, and apparently he's further to the right than his dad was. And of course, he's not going to work with America after we just slaughtered his father and bragged about it on the worldwide stage. So the guy that's currently in there is not going to work with the United States. You can forget about it, as they say in the mafia. Forget about it. I mean, we slaughtered his dad just a few days ago, and now he's in there. We expect him to work with the United States. He doesn't want to hear from Trump at all. Somebody in the comments, I see Tamar says, oh, his entire family was slaughtered? Oh, then hell no. Hell no. He absolutely is not going to work with America. So I suppose President Trump will threaten him, and Benjamin Netanyahu will want him deceased. Benjamin Netanyahu will want him deceased. Now, I see in the comments, Tamar says his daughter was killed. Further Great says his wife and child as well. This guy has zero desire to work with the United States. And I'll submit this to you. None of you watching would want to work with the United States after a traumatic event like that either. So we can forget about him in terms of working with the United States. So if Trump wants regime change in Iran and he wants to have a say-so in it, as Senator Blumenthal was saying, the only way to do that, you're going to have to put boots on the ground. I said this yesterday. Either Trump is going to have to drop that objective because he's making it sound like that is part of the objective that must happen for us to consider victory. Either Trump drops that objective or Blumenthal is right. They're going to have to put boots on the ground. I'm already hearing rumors and speculation. I'm not military. If you guys are, some of you folks that are, let me know. But I'm hearing that people are getting deployed. I'm hearing that they are already stepping up the deployment numbers. So I'm just saying, Senator Blumenthal came out of a briefing and he's definitely saying this. He's a senator, so he's obviously got his ear to the ground. He's a U.S. senator. So there's no way in hell you get to put in a leader by just bombing from the air. That's just not going to happen. So boots on the ground probably is more likely than not, in my opinion. But this is open forum, so if that comes up, we will talk about that. And by the way, they're estimating, I think we've already spent like 50 some odd billion dollars on this in just 2 days. 50 some odd billion dollars on this. So every time you see one of these videos of something blowing up, just imagine a few $100,000. Just imagine a cash register sound every time you see Trump posting a declassified video of something blowing up. You're paying for all of that. Same thing with the Venezuelan drug boats. We blew up about a dozen of them. That was millions of dollars spent to do that. Also, in addition to talking about Iran and a possible ground invasion and its cost, the price of gas, the price of fuel. The price of fuel has increased significantly no matter where you are at in this great nation. Some folks have had it worse. Some folks have had it a little bit more mild. But I think everyone since the Iraq war has started has probably seen at least about a 50-cent increase per gallon in gas. Some folks much worse than that. Talk about that. We also talk about the Save America Act. This is President Trump requiring that you prove you are a U.S. citizen before being allowed to vote. And as I often say on the program, let no one tell you that this is a voter ID. It is not voter ID. There are plenty of folks that have IDs that would help you out in a traffic stop. Cops run your ID, give you a ticket, and let you go along your way. Those IDs are not guaranteed to let you vote. There are plenty of folks that have state IDs and driver's license that would be valid to use for a host of different things in the state. would allow you to drive and everything, but you could not vote with that ID. So let no one tell you it's just about voter ID. There's more to it than that. You essentially need to have a passport and access to your birth certificate, because that is more than voter ID. And by the way, I suppose the 2020 election or some of that shit will come up, because Trump is now demanding the records from Arizona. Another one of those swing states in that 2020 election he lost. So he went from Georgia, now he's over in Arizona. And Arizona is that state where the cyber ninjas, hired by the Republicans, the cyber ninjas did their own thorough investigation into the election and came back and told Trump, you actually lost by more than we originally thought. So I suppose he's going to come up with some kind of way of why the cyber ninjas got it wrong, but we'll talk about that. And last but not least, the gift that keeps on giving for the Democrats and keeps on sticking in Trump's side, Jeffrey Epstein. I'm sure that'll come up, because obviously since this has happened with Iran, we've stopped talking about Epstein. Hell, even Savannah Guthrie, her mom disappeared from the media. So I'm sure this is not something that she's fond of either. We've stopped talking about everything once we invaded Iran. So if Iran's attack was to be a diversion, it succeeded. It's deflected us from talking about everything. So that's the program today. And of course, if you have any suggestions on how to make it better, how to make our program more entertaining, if you got some comments in that direction, if you got some complaints on the things you think we're doing that you don't favor, that maybe makes the program less entertaining, I want to hear those too. You can criticize anybody on the program. You know what the hell I say. We take criticism from anyone, right, left, or indifferent, and you can criticize even yours truly. And of course, we'll take a few compliments if they're out there. So looking in the comments, and by the way, tap the screen. We take our first caller at 10,000. Israel owns the United States government. I don't want to say they own our government, Victor, but they absolutely have a lopsided amount of influence. A lopsided amount. They have more influence on our government than they absolutely should. So looking in the comments here, stop fluffing so much. Fluffing? Wow. We just had the monologue. Who said stop fluffing there on Ronaldo? We just got on the program. Just started. Can't fluff yet. It's a little bit early in the game. Continuing on. I don't want to know what I'm trying to hit here, but Trump is great, says Britton Wolf. If he look, I'm not saying that he's I'm not saying what you're saying is crazy, but I would have to get your parameters on why you're saying he is great. Great. What has he done? I mean, I guess the border or something like that. But let me know. I don't know what you are seeing, but I am still hearing about Jeffrey Epstein. Not to the level we were hearing. There's information come out. We talked about the 13-year-old that was interviewed by the FBI 4 times. Apparently, the girl testified to the FBI back in, was it 94 or in the early 90s? She testified that Trump tried to get her to have oral. She was 13. Tried to get her to have oral. She bit him on his pecker. This is what came out of the Epstein files. She bit him on his pecker. He actually smacked her or hit her. This is what she testified. She actually testified to the feds. And that's in the Epstein files. Oddly enough, that was accidentally deleted when the files got released. And it became such an outrage that they had to release it. But Pam Bondi had released the Epstein files, and that 50-page portion of it was missing. That hasn't been covered a lot. It has been covered, but the Iran war that should be huge fucking news. That should be Savannah Guthrie's mom got more coverage than that. So I don't agree that we're covering it like that. Guthrie's mom got significant. That should be on the news every damn night. That should be literally the first segment of your nightly news, even locally. Thank you, Blue One Banks. So looking in the comment, why do you, what does that say? I don't want to talk about other stuff today. I'm sick. Andy, I don't want you to be sick. I want you to feel better, but we'll go ahead and we'll certainly go ahead and pay you homage. Certainly support the program. Good evening, Andy. How is it going?
thing I wanted to say about the J files is if anybody else had as many friends that were in those files as he, that we would erase them because it's not just J.E. It's also John Luke Brunel. It's also John Casablancas. I was watching some random show about Hollywood and some child essayer I didn't even know, and it said, and he even had famous friends. Guess what picture popped up?
What?
Donald Trump and Paris Hilton. I was like, and I was trying to get away from politics, just watching some random, crime show on HBO. Like, what's and like anybody like. Didn't your mama used to tell you you are who you hang out with?
Birds of a feather flock together. Yes.
Exactly. So if you got friends, like all your friends got some connection to this, there's something wrong there. Like, I don't know why they don't make that basic connection.
I think
you
that
it for all these people were your friends and you didn't know about none of them. How the hell can you be president?
Yeah.
Because your observation is for shit.
Yeah, I gotta say it is challenging because listen, I'm from the South Side of Chicago, and R. Kelly, who's now serving time for similar matters like this, we knew because he, I got friends of friends that actually hung around the guy. I didn't know nothing about him, never met him, but I got friends and friends of friends that hung around the guy. There were rumors floating around about this dude doing that kind of stuff for decades, probably since the early '90s. So. How Epstein could have hundreds of victims and folks like Clinton and Trump and some of the folks you name it didn't know about it. Yeah, I would agree with you that either they were in on it or at the very least they knew who they were hanging around.
Exactly. Because if it's one, it might be a slip of judgment. But when it's 3, 4, 5, and you ain't noticed anything about any of them, and you're going to tell me you're the smartest man on earth and you're going to be president and make all these decisions for us, I question the legitimacy of your observational powers because you let this shit go on for decades.
But
Not a few years.
But let me ask you.
He was friends with Epstein through all 3 of his marriages. Yeah. Epstein was at 2 of his weddings. Like, come on.
But let me ask you the elephant in the room, though. I get the notion of birds of a feather flock together, but do you absolutely believe that he took the innocence of a child?
Yeah, I do. Because, look, when I read about the look contest, what grown man has a bunch of 14-year-olds come for him and John Casablanca? Go look up in the look contest in the 1990s. So a bunch of 14-year-olds where Trump and Casablanca were the judges. Ugh. Like, that gave me the creeps right then. Like, I didn't need, like, all this extra stuff just confirmed what I already knew. And men his age, like, I grew up around men his age. I'm in my 50s. Like, I was the prime predatory for that age group of men. Like, my daddy's friends said, oh, man, I told my mama. She made sure they never came back to the house again. She didn't care.
13.
In that time,
13.
They used to say gross things to women, like if there's grass on the field, you should get to play, even though they knew that shit was illegal. It is a point of privilege, pale male privilege.
I got a point. How about this though? How about this though? In the comments, Aesop says, "I know police officers that have family members that are criminals. Does that make them automatically become criminals?" So he's pushing back on
they arrested their family member. They know. If they know, then they're covering up. That's still criminal activity.
It's a good point. It's a good point. I didn't think of it that way. But yeah, if you are a police and you know your family members are committing criminals and you're not doing anything about it, then you're kind of enabling them to continue. That's a good point. That's a good point.
Corruption. Look, all it takes is one bad action to be corrupt. And then you compile corruption on top of that. It gets a little easier to be a little more corrupt once you've been corrupt once. Look the other way. Take a bribe. Take 2 or 3 bribes. Shit, now I'm in too deep. Can't get out. Might as well do whatever the fuck I want. That's the logic behind that shit.
Well, here's what I guess because when you take the innocence of a child or even a grown person, when you do this, you get put on the registry, sex offender registry or whatever. And the mindset is they put you on the registry because they believe if you're a pedo, it's something that is mentally off of you and you're going to likely do it again. So the point I'm making here is if hundreds of victims exist and nobody has been brought to justice for this. And I don't think there's been any arrest in regard other than him and Ghislaine Maxwell. You got to assume that some of the folks that were abusing these folks have went on to do it again, because none of them were put on the registry. Definitely. None of them been arrested.
Well, other things are happening in other countries. Like one of the heads of state had to step down in one of the Icelandic countries. They kicked Prince Andrew all the way out the family. You got to go.
Yeah.
Just out. You got to go. And now they're going to look into him for sharing some secrets. And see, that's another thing. They weren't just sharing kids. What else were they sharing?
What do you mean?
Well, Trump took home how many boxes of documents?
You think Trump was actually giving folks classified material?
Wasn't Prince Andrew?
Yeah, he's criminally charged for it. Yeah,
same circle.
Yeah,
what's the difference?
Yeah, I guess
6 to 1, half dozen of the other.
So I guess I had to ask: do you think there will ever be anyone held accountable for that, at least on U.S. soil?
No. Too many rich, powerful people. Because let's be honest, even in the lower courts, they don't care about women. They don't. Men get slaps on the wrist every day for egregious crimes against women. Women are scared to report because we'll be drugged through the muds in the news. Like a girl right before I had it happen to me, she reported. And the reason I didn't report was because of exactly what happened to her. Why were you out at 11 o'clock at night? What were you wearing? Had you been drinking? Who are your friends?
Wow.
What did any of that have to do with what happened to me?
Wow. Man, that's crazy.
This happens in America every day. Men cover for each other every day at every level, up and down the chain. So women get no justice. It'll continue. And then we have Republican men going, we want justice for women in Iran. Get the fuck out of my face with that shit. You don't want justice for women in fucking America today.
Well, how about this?
I'm not well.
Keith in the comments says it's both sides doing all this.
I saw all the Democrats vote to release those files. We even had to get one sworn in. And if there was a Democrat on those files currently, you don't think we'd rip them out and eviscerate them?
No, I don't mean in regards to the political parties. I mean in terms of gender. In other words, you're saying the courts don't give a damn about women and they let men get away with anything.
Well, I do see the left working more towards women's rights and the right working more against them. And if they say no, I would point to the SAVE Act that Donald Trump is saying that he is not going to pass any other legislation, which, by the way, we don't have a king. He shouldn't get that power. He can veto it or he can sign it, but he don't get to tell Congress, I'm not going to do anything else unless you do what I say. That's blackmail. That's illegal in this country. I don't know why we're not calling it what it is. It's fucking coercion.
Well, the belief is
why do Republicans get away with breaking the law every day?
Well, and thank you for that.
Understand the law is there for everyone, not just the left.
And thank you for the hat and mustache, big dog. Yeehaw! The belief is that the Republicans are doing what's right for the country, so they're willing to, I guess, turn a blind eye to it.
Oh, so 150-something wounded soldiers. What is it now? 7 or 8 not alive? How's that helping the country? Gas prices soaring. Donald Trump came out and said, I knew gas prices were going to go up before I did this. Said it with his own mouth. Like, keep opening your mouth. Just keep talking, dude, because you're talking your party right into the trash.
Wow.
He said that. And he actually said it didn't go as high as I expected it to.
It ain't over with yet. That's the problem.
He needs to shut up.
It ain't over. But I mean, let me ask you, because MAGA is still overwhelmingly happy with the performance of Trump. Do you think there is a point, now you're in MAGA country, so to speak. Do you believe there is a point where even MAGA will become disenfranchised or unhappy with?
I have a Republican following me right now who changed his vote because he found out Tommy don't live in Alabama. And then today he brought 7 more Republicans into a live from my state to listen to what I had to say.
Wait, you said he found out what? He found out who don't live
Tommy Tuberville doesn't live in Alabama.
I know, because I'm not seeing MAGA seems overwhelmingly happy. I'm still getting people telling me he's a goat.
That's because it's the ones on this app who've been on here forever. They just want their minute in the sun. They're not trying to actually change. They're not trying to learn anything. They're trying to help fascism own over the cliff. I don't know what's wrong with them because they don't realize, I guess, truly true, because Trump said smart people don't like me. Let's preface that. Then Trump also said, the uneducated love me. So, He said it himself. I didn't have to say it. Lack of education is going to unalive us. That's just going to be the end of it.
Well, I mean, sometimes it pays to have a few uneducated voters on your side. I want to read this comment though. Evil B Babu says, Tim, good afternoon. Love what you're doing. Great man of all time. Tell Miss Angie, let the hits keep on hitting. Let's get rid of these MAGA rats. You don't see. I'm assuming you don't think the same of MAGA like that. MAGA rats. Well,
sometimes I do, because when I see them actively trying to destroy what our forefathers built, our forefathers weren't perfect. They had lots of problems. That's why we have amendments to the Constitution. But that's how we get that done, by amendment. We get Congress to vote on it, and we get 2/3 of the state to ratify it. And it was set up that way so we would not fall into fascism.
but you do understand.
Trump is trying to completely subvert the Constitution and go around it. And that is the problem. We don't really care that the left, the right doesn't agree with us. We just need y'all not to break the fucking Constitution open so that it doesn't apply to any of us, so that we all get subjugated. If you all want to go get subjugated, Russia's a good option.
You almost sound like them. If you don't like what you're dealing with, pack your bags out, or I'll help you pack. Is that what MAGA says? If you don't like America, I'll help you pack. That's kind of what.
Well, since they tell me that all the time, there's already a country set up the way they want it to be.
What is that?
That's more than happy. Russia's already set up with the leadership that they want. A big, strength through might. There it is. Go get it.
Do you actually wait?
Trump kowtows to him. So, in actuality, since Donald Trump kowtows to Putin, wouldn't he be the big man? I'm just asking.
Do you really believe though that MAGA genuinely wants fascism?
I think MAGA doesn't realize what fascism is. I think they just want their way, and they're a bunch of spoiled children.
I could agree with that more than saying MAGA wants fascism. I think they just want Trump.
But they're bringing it about whether they realize it or not.
Yeah.
Whether they intend for it to happen through their childishness and their bad behavior, it's happening. And most countries have never fallen, just for the record. We went from being an open society and not on the human watch list to way deep on the human watch list, and now we're a narrowed society working to a closed society. No country has ever fallen down the human rights list so far. Make it back up.
Here's what I don't get though. How can we be a closed society or kind of like nationalists when we're in everybody's business worldwide?
Oh, because we're cutting people out. We got whole countries that can't come here. I mean, like Donald Trump is saying, like, when you start doing that and start kicking people out of your country and abusing them the way we're doing in these facilities,
yeah,
it's we are way over the line. Like, at what point do they look at this and go, hey, wait, that's too far? Where is too far for them? When they unalive all the prisoners at Alcatraz, will that be too far? Will that not be far enough for some of them?
I think
I dare you to ask them that today.
No, Trump promised.
I want to know where that line is. They don't have one.
Trump promised that you're going to be tired of winning. So I think that what they favor is Trump is kicking ass, blowing up Venezuelan boats, taking out leaders like Maduro, blowing up Iran. I think they like the ass kicking. Same thing. The perception is he's kicking
ass so much because the people of Iran were in the streets cheering for their new supreme leader, who's worse. Because what we did, any of those disaffected people that Trump thought was going to run in and take over the government, no, he bombed them too. You think they have any love for us? No, they joined the chant for the you know what to America crowd. Like, he made more enemies in the blink of an eye.
Yeah. You think we're putting boots on the ground?
Created in 100 years.
You think we're putting boots on the ground?
Oh, yeah, I don't think we're having a choice. Because I think the Kurds are going to come pouring across that border, and then we're going to be stuck there for 20 years like we were before. All the hallmarks are on the wall.
What does victory look like? Like, what is our exit strategy then? At what point do we leave Iran?
He said till they can't fight back, which I don't think he understands the Middle East if he thinks that's going to happen, because their people are committed. Like, we want to go fight. They will fight till they unalive and be happy about unaliving. Our soldiers aren't going to be happy about unaliving. They're going to go, fuck. No. See, we are creating martyrs every fucking day because we don't understand their religion either. We're going over there with that Western gung-ho attitude that's never served us over there. Not one time has that attitude ever served us.
So when Trump says this will be over with soon, what say you?
I say that's a joke. I say he's a deranged old man wandering around in a shitty diaper that needs to have somebody take care of him, and he definitely doesn't need to be the leader of the free world. See that picture I sent you?
No, I
It's
didn't.
everywhere.
Oh,
Trump
what?
sitting on that pee pad on Fox News.
Yeah, I did. I mean, look, he's almost
So you can't
80,
deny
so
it. When Fox News will, like, they weren't even willing to risk their couch for his life.
I mean, he's ratings gold for Fox News viewers. They'd sacrifice a couch for him. I mean, he's ratings gold. They would sacrifice the couch in a heartbeat for Trump. Hell, might even
Well,
sell
I
a
don't
pillow.
know. I wonder how they're feeling about Fox today since Fox lied to them and didn't show Trump wearing that ball cap, that crappy Trump merch.
They don't
He
care.
turned the damn Return of the Soldiers into a damn Trump commercial with that crappy Trump merch on his head. Which, like, I don't know about you, but I couldn't walk in my grandmother's house with a cap on my head. Like, I don't know who gave these people home training, but I don't think they have any.
They'll just divert to Obama not saluting somebody getting off Marine One or something Biden did. They don't care about Trump wearing a hat during a dignified transfer. I mean, I agree with you. It's completely disrespecting the folks who lost their lives for this country, but I think MAGA could get over that like anything. That's
Yeah,
nothing
but
to
see,
them.
that's not the issue. It's not the issue of him wearing a hat. It's the issue that Fox tried to lie to you again.
Yeah.
And even when they apologized for using bad footage, they didn't put the correct footage up.
Yeah. And but the argument would just simply be the liberals and the fake news media doesn't say. I mean, this is what generally the
Yeah, but
argument
see,
is.
Donald Trump sued CBS for $10 million for editing the Kamala Harris video.
Yeah.
Where's that money coming from, Fox? I need them to pony up a check. See, here is the problem. The hypocrisy of it all, Tim. You just outlined it really clear. You didn't realize it. It is Democrats have to pay for their sins, but Republicans get away with their sins every fucking day.
Well, in this case, that's probably because the way the law is set up, where you can't sue the president while he's in office, but he can sue you. I do believe fair should be fair is that if an entity cannot sue the president should not be able to sue the entity. If we have to wait till he's a citizen before he can be sued for anything, as president, he should not be able to sue you for anything because he's launching lawsuits while being president.
Well, the law set up where you have to be damaged by it, or if I was CBS, I would sue Fox News because fair is fair.
Yeah. I mean, listen,
if
Trump.
CBS could figure out any way that they were damaged by that, I would definitely be suing Fox News.
Well, that may come. I got to move it on, Andy, but yeah, I do agree
Thanks,
that.
Tim. Have
Thank
a
you.
great day.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Andy. All right, moving on with the program. By the way, tap the screen, get the likes on up to 20,000. Let your thumbs not be lazy. We are in full swing. This is an open forum. So what we're doing is simply talking about the politics of the day, Iran, Epstein, a host of different things going on, gas prices, the Save America Act. Certainly want to hear from you folks on how you feel about that, requiring that you produce documents of citizenship to vote. While no non-citizen should be able to vote, I agree with that. I agree that a non-citizen should not be able to vote in our elections. I don't believe it's happening to any significant degree. We need a nationwide law, though. President Trump with the Save America Act, not having, the perception is he does not have the votes in Senate to get the Save America Act through, so he wants to declare some sort of an emergency. I don't believe that there is enough non-citizens voting in our elections to justify declaring a presidential emergency. That's the point I'm making. I do believe you should be a citizen to vote. So I do agree with that part, but I don't believe that it is so that non-citizens voting in our elections is so rampant. You need to declare some kind of emergency to get it under control. I just don't believe that. And I'll tell you the reason I don't believe it. There's been no evidence produced to the contrary. I mean, where are all of the citizens that were arrested going to polling places and things? I haven't seen any of that. All of it, we are to believe that in 2020, when President Trump was finishing his first term, all kinds of fraud happened under his presidency. Because when we voted in 2020, he was the president. All sorts of fraud happened under his presidency. But then under Biden's presidency in 2024, when he won re-election, it was free and fair. So all the cheating happened under him. But under Biden, No question about that. That election was fair. I understand. Now that he's back in office, well, the fraud's going to come back. We need to pass the Save America Act. That almost says something about him. Why is all the cheating happening under you? When you won in 2016 under President Obama, you didn't accuse any fraud of taking place. You won under Obama's watch, free and fair election. You won under Biden's watch, free and fair election. You lost under your own watch, fraud. Now you're about to have another election under your own watch. They're about to be fraudulent again. Why is the fraud only happening under you? That does have to be asked. Anyhow, looking in the comments, I agree that you shouldn't have to produce an ID to vote in the ID. Do not have to be valid as long as I don't know what that means. The writing of it is kind of wrong. I'll just say this. If you voted in the last 2 or 3 elections, you should be grandfathered in. Period. Anybody that's voted in the last 2 or 3 elections, they shouldn't have to produce anything more than what they've produced in the last 2 or 3 elections. It should not be some kind of step up suggesting that this non-citizen has been voting in the last 20 years. That's ridiculous. If the person has voted in, voted for Trump or Biden Trump or Kamala last election, voted for Trump or Biden in 2020, voted for Hillary or Trump in 2016. If you voted in the last 3 elections, you should be grandfathered in. Whatever ID you currently have should be sufficient. That's it. But I think the goal here is not to make sure U.S. citizens are voting, is to make sure it is hard as hell to vote. That's my opinion. Anyway, looking in the comments, and I also believe that we could do a solid to limit the complaints on this by just hand out the fucking ID for free. Listen, I said this on the program before. We had 20,000. Tap the screen, get the likes up. We'll take the next caller at 20,000. I said this before. If you get pulled over during a simple traffic stop on the side of the highway, the cop who pulled you over can find out if you're a U.S. citizen within about 10 minutes. The government already knows if you're a citizen or not. They don't need to have you bring in all kinds of documentation. They can type in a few keys on the keyboard or make a quick phone call and find out if you're a U.S. citizen pretty damn quick. So the idea that you got to bring all these documentation, that's done as a deliberate hurdle to you. I mentioned before, I've lost my Social Security card a couple times. And to get another Social Security card, I had to go down to the Social Security Administration, show them my driver's license, and they ask for things that are on your credit report that only you would know in your credit history. They ask me things like, you purchased, you had a mortgage taken out in 1990, such and such. What was the address for the property that you purchased? Stuff like that only you would know. They can ask you 4 or 5 things off of your credit history that only you would know. And if you were fraudulent and you were really interested in trying to pretend like you were somebody, you wouldn't remember all of that shit for more than just one person. So yeah, the idea that they can't find out you're a citizen unless I certainly totally don't believe that. But anyway, looking in the comments, I think that says Happy Grinch says, tell me how the fuck did a dead person vote for Biden? I think you should ask that to President Trump. He's the one that claimed all of these dead people voted. That's who, look, if you're going to say mass amounts of voter fraud is happening, at least do us a solid by proving what you're saying. You're going to pass all these laws based on what you're claiming. Show us what you're claiming has some validity to it. I don't believe we've seen that. Trump can only win if running against women, says Me Too. Well, that does help. That absolutely does help because there's a significant portion of the country on the Democrat side as well, amongst the independents as well, that does not believe a woman should lead this great nation. Tap the screen, get the likes up. If you're watching us on YouTube, smash that like button. Certainly, we're here to tackle a lot of the comments as well as take callers, but get us up to 20,000. We'll take the next caller on TikTok. If you happen to be watching us live on Instagram, Substack, or TikTok, give us a follow. We're here most weekdays. If you're currently watching us on YouTube, give your boy a sub, but on YouTube in particular, tap that like button, smash that like button. Yo, nice stream, bro. actually really good and underrated. Thank you. Appreciate that. We're trying to make it happen, and that's why we're having an open forum here today. We want to make it more entertaining. So we're taking comments, suggestions, and complaints. That's what we're doing today. Get us up to 20,000. We'll take the next caller. Trump is the definition of a bad president, says Sant. Really, a definition of a bad I would have to hear I would have to hear that defined. Protect that. Wait a minute. Protect that is true. You are registered in the system, but that registration is not tied to the physical ID you get sent in the mail several weeks after you visit. Like I said, I need to see that immigrants or illegal aliens are voting in our elections enough to justify all of this. Person shows up with a valid license with their face on it that you can call a DMV and validate. That's their fucking license. And you can take that license and the information on that license, whether it's their driver's license number or they don't put social security number on the license anymore. I think your birthday, they can take that information and find out if you're a U.S. citizen. That's it. They don't need much more than that. They can take your driver's license or your state ID and tell within 10 minutes if you're a U.S. citizen. So for citizens that cannot afford a passport or do not have once again, the cash to try to request a birth certificate, whether you live in, whether you're born in the city you're born there, or you didn't have the time to get your birth certificate, whatever the case may be. If you don't have a passport because you didn't have the time to get it or you couldn't afford the cost, same with the birth certificate, have somebody at the polling place, sworn officer that has access to the computers of law enforcement. That person can find out based on your driver's license or state ID if you're a citizen. That way, then you would truly only need an ID, which is what the right is trying to tell you. If we just want voter ID. Okay, this person showed up with a driver's license or a state ID, and you went in the computer and found out if they were a citizen. They didn't have to bring a birth certificate and all this other shit when you claim it's just an ID. Then I'd agree with it. In the comments, Handy Manny says you don't need a passport, just an ID. That's not true across the board. I'll tell you what I mean. They have the real ID that you did have to prove you're a citizen, et cetera, to get. Everyone doesn't have a real ID. There are plenty of folks that have a legitimate ID still before the real ID came out that would suffice to get alcohol, to drive in a car. That ID is still valid to do every damn thing else. It just wouldn't be valid to vote. So when you say we just want an ID, no, you need more than just a regular ID to vote. That ID would qualify for everything else, but it wouldn't allow you to vote. So it's more than just an ID. To get the real ID, now you got to come back to the DMV and produce other paperwork. It's not just an ID. They want more from you than that. Going to the box, and there's a lot of Americans that can't afford a passport. Hell of a lot of Americans don't have a passport. I found that out when I started traveling internationally. I think about 30-40% of Americans don't have a passport. And there's a host of Americans that do not have a birth certificate either. And to get that stuff costs money. All of that stuff will cost you money to obtain it. So going to the box, Jeremy, and by the way, help your boy out, folks, with the hat, mustache, TikTok cap goal. Jeremy, good afternoon. This is an open forum, so we're taking subject matter is anything. Good evening, Jeremy.
Hey, Tim, how you doing?
I'm doing good. What brings you on this evening?
I just want to talk about the importance of, you started talking about real IDs, and I think that's important to talk about. Mm-hmm. Listen, you're not pro cheating, are you?
No. But wait, hold on. I'll say this. In my opinion, when you make up a cause that is not based on reality, such as this widespread voter fraud and things like, in my opinion, what Trump is doing is some sort of derivative of cheating, because I believe he's making up all kinds of stories about election fraud that didn't happen. But go ahead.
Yeah. So first off, I want to point out that Democrats in various different states, including California and Minnesota, are actually attempting to change laws in ways that would actually make it easier for you to commit fraud.
I believe that. The Democrats want to make you be able to mail in votes. They want you to be able to pull up and vote curbside. Anytime you make voting easier, you increase the likelihood of somebody being able, you make it easier to commit fraud. When you make it harder to vote, what you do is you make it more likely that somebody who legitimately had the right to vote is not able to cast their ballot. So there's pros and cons to doing it both ways.
Right, exactly. So here's a little suggestion I have. Maybe we should make it so that way voting day is required by law to be given you to have one day that your boss has to give you the ability to go to work, to be off of work, either to register or to vote itself. This way people can guarantee that they get to vote, and this way people can also be guaranteed that they are registered to vote. So this way it streamlines the process without so many hiccups.
Well, I totally agree with that. I think the problem would be, though, your party would shoot that down because that is making it easier to vote. If you make it a holiday, that way some folks don't have to complain that they can't get off work, etc. Your side would shoot down making it a holiday on election day. That the Republicans would resist that. And the Democrats would favor it. The Democrats would favor that.
That's okay. I'm okay. I'm okay with. See, here's the thing. I only am loyal to a party that does what I want it to do. Otherwise, I'm not really too in favor of parties. Like, to me, it's principles over anything else. That's why I left MAGA, because I was MAGA. I'm not afraid to say it. I'm not ashamed of it either, because he promised a lot of things I wanted and didn't deliver.
Give me 2 or 3 things. Give me 2 or 3 things he promised and he didn't deliver that led you to leave MAGA, because this is something I got hundreds of MAGA listening. Maybe they need to hear this. Give me what you got.
Okay, what was this shit about the Epstein files not existing, huh, motherfuckers? Come on. Be so for real. No, seriously, listen. Stand by your principles, not by a person. Listen, if I ever run for office, they're going to tear through everything I've ever done wrong. And I've done some stupid shit, although I've never been in the Epstein files or anything like that. So, I'm probably a saint compared to most of the people that you know about. But for God's sakes, vote for me because you think I'll give you what you want. Don't vote for me because I'm Jeremy and you just love Jeremy. You're don't vote for me because of that. It's the also no new wars. That was another one. Come on.
Well, they say we're not at war, Jeremy. We haven't been at war yet. That's what MAGA says.
I know. Yeah, I know. And they also said that MK Ultra didn't happen. They also said that we didn't have any involvement with the Yahtzees after World War II. Operation Paperclip. Sorry, I had to.
So what are you trying to indicate? That the party you went with is lying to us or something? Is that what you're telling me? That MAGA's lying?
Every party lies, but here's the thing. On your own, individuals don't get much done. Parties get things done. So I only align with the party in that I align with them when they actually uphold my principles.
Wow.
But that's the thing. Parties are made of people, imperfect people like you and me. So of course I don't want to have that happen. And listen, at the end of the day, when it comes to voter ID, here's what I'm.
Hang on, but before you do, you got an accolade. Handsome Conservative says, now see, this is what I've been saying. Stand on your principles, not with a party. Good man. So someone recognized the value in what you said. But go ahead in regards to what were we talking about? You weren't going. What were we?
Voter ID.
Voter ID. Okay.
Yeah. Here's the thing. There are some things that are more likely to give someone an easier time voting illegally, and there are things that will give someone an easier time voting illegally at a lesser rate. You know what I mean? And there are some things that will get so it's a matter of cost benefit analysis.
Okay.
So when it comes to making it a holiday, that is a very low likelihood that it will give someone the ability to vote illegally, but a very high likelihood that people who are supposed to be able to vote will get the chance to vote. Now, let's say you take something like, for instance, saying that you only need something like, I don't know, like an address, like to register to vote. That is a very high likelihood because you could easily get someone to give you their address if they're sympathetic to you and just do something to prove your billing there.
Let me interrupt to say this, and I'm not disagreeing with what you said. I agree that a person may do that. Here's what I don't get though: when you factor in, it is a felony to illegally vote. and you're only about to cast one vote in an election that literally tens of millions of people. I don't believe there's going to be a significant amount of people that's going to try to commit a felony to cast one vote like that. That's why I believe what Trump is pushing is bullshit. People are not, I mean, certainly if you're here illegally, the last thing you want to do is walk into a government sanctioned place to cast one vote, and they oftentimes have sheriffs and cops and shit. You gonna go do all of that to cast one vote and get deported? That's crazy, or get arrested or whatever. That's crazy.
Well, here's my way of getting back at that. So what I would say is right now, absolutely, I totally agree with you. Right now, here's what studies have shown, psychological studies have shown. When it comes to the likelihood that someone will or will not commit a crime, it's a little important, but it's not as important when it comes to how severe the crime is. It's much more important how likely they feel they are to get caught and punished for
Well, I don't. It also depends on what they gain out of it. It depends on what they gain out of it too. I mean, if they make it a felony if they make it a felony to let air out of somebody's tire, even if you thought you could get away, you're not. I mean, the idea that casting one single vote could not only get you time behind bars, but then you're going to get deported afterwards and lose everything you've been working for just so you can cast one vote. Because I see in the comments, Fat Boy says, well, who has been arrested, though? There hasn't been a lot of arrests because it ain't happening. That's the point we're making.
Now it's not. Right now it's not, because we have good safeguards in place. And here's the thing. I think that for most people, more than likely, we will not lose many safeguards. Because if, like, Democrats in various different states try to roll out laws that allow for people to have flimsy voting requirements, it'll probably be taken down by the Supreme Court, like the federal Supreme Court. There will probably be something like that. So more than likely, our elections are pretty secure, pretty safe. Here's the thing, though, Tim. Here's the thing. Let's use your example of letting air out of somebody's tire. Okay, what if you thought there was virtually no chance that you would ever face any jail time?
There's a lot of crimes I could commit that I feel confident that I could get away with. I just wouldn't. Even still, I'm going to weigh the risk versus reward. People who do shit like that are people who tend to have nothing to lose. And some immigrant that don't made it to the promised land, in his opinion, has a lot to lose. He's not going to go out and try to vote. You're going to potentially throw your friends back home might beat your ass. You mean you was actually able to sneak into the country and you've been living there? And they deported you for you actually tried to vote? That's how you got deported? Your own folks back home might beat your ass for doing something that stupid. You wasted all of that you gained just to cast a vote. That's stupid.
Maybe, but again, it really depends on whether, think about how many crimes people already do commit. Let's be honest. Let's be so for real, okay? It is a very, very serious. It is a very, very punishable federal crime to either distribute or consume copyrighted content without paying for it. But come on.
Yeah, but I'll tell you something. But here's the thing, Jeremy.
I ain't doing no self-snitching.
Yeah, I get your point. But here's the thing. Most people, I think just about everybody, when they commit a crime, they're committing a crime to get something for what they're doing. This is like breaking into a gas station to get a lottery ticket. You may not even get nothing out of this. You're going to commit a felony you're going to commit a felony to vote. Your guy still may lose. You're actually, if all the other crimes you commit, you usually are getting something out of it. You're stealing property, you're getting revenge, you're getting something immediate for committing that crime. You're not even guaranteed to get shit for doing this. Who gonna commit a felony with no guaranteed return on anything?
Yeah, but why do you think so many Democrats are very lenient on immigration? They're importing a voter base. And
but it's in the future, though. Yeah, but it's in the future. The truth is, if you let in immigrants, they likely will. And by the way, the Venezuelans and Cubans been voting Republican, so that ain't even totally true. But the fact is, the belief is that if you let immigrants in,
the legally immigrated.
Well, that's what we're talking about. When they have these open borders, you guys claim about, them folks ain't what's voting in the election. The hope is once they have offspring, or they get older, or they become legal, they will recognize that Democrats let them in and voted. All of these Venezuelans that came in caravans, the people ain't voting. The hope is that it will turn into votes later.
Yeah, but imagine a world where it becomes less and less punishable to cross the border illegally, and the requirements to prove your citizenship are even lower.
Yeah, but that's all
together
ifs.
Make a pretty easy vote for your own benefit if you're illegally in the country.
Yeah, but that's all ifs in the future. What Trump is passing the SAVE Act for is based on shit he's saying is happening now. He's not talking about what you're saying, well, in the future, if they do this and if that and if he's saying it's happening now.
Well, the Democrats are definitely pushing towards that, but they're pushing towards it for the future.
Shit, he's pushing towards.
No, not really.
He's pushing towards a president having unlimited terms in office. That don't mean it's going to happen. He's pushing towards stuff.
I know, but I'm saying they're kind of thinking many steps ahead. Now, the president is absolutely using propaganda to push this through, to make people feel like, oh, it's happening now. No, but it is absolutely something the Democrats want to do. It's something, and here's the thing. I don't look down at anybody who wants to get out of a bad situation, okay? You grew up dirt poor, okay? Your mom got pregnant when she was 15, okay? I get it. You want to do better, okay? I'm an immigrant myself. I am very lucky to be where I am because, my adoptive parents brought me into a very nice home. Here's the thing. It comes to having all the privileges of a citizen comes with responsibilities that non-citizens simply don't have. So the point of enforcing these laws is that we want to make sure that everybody who has access to X has the same responsibility to it. You know what I mean?
Like I said, I'm totally okay with making sure that only Americans vote. I just don't believe that you should make up this lie that there's widespread vote. I mean, under Biden, this is what you, I'm sure, and certainly the current MAGA believes that under Biden we had open borders and tens of millions of folks came in the country. If that's the case and you had widespread voter fraud, they should be able to produce tons of folks that voted illegally. They should be able to show you photos of, here's a picture of this guy at a polling table. He has no right to be here. Here's another one we arrested. They're not producing any of that. You're going to tell me millions of people came in the country and you're having trouble producing anybody that voted illegally? Does that not look weird to you?
Yeah, it does. Absolutely. Here's the thing. Again, I'm loyal to principles, not to a party. And so for me, yeah, it's absolutely weird. Okay. Now, in the midterms, I'll probably vote for Republican again because when it comes to what they actually will say they stand for, they probably have more in line with me than not. Although I might go libertarian on one or two candidates who deserve to lose their spots, depending on how in league they are with AIPAC. I know, not nice and kosher to say that. Wink, wink. But
I'm gonna leave that alone. But in the comments, by the way, I got a viewer say, William Perry said, is that the refrigerator? Anyway, William Perry says again, tell this dumb fuck that MAGATs are the ones mostly doing voter crime. Now,
there's no evidence of that. What are you talking about?
Yeah, there is evidence. No evidence. Well, I don't know about that because I'll tell you one thing: the fake electors and all them folks that got arrested and pled guilty to it, by the way, in Georgia, Wisconsin, and Arizona, they all were Republican. So there is some evidence to that.
There's no evidence that they're doing it more than the left. There's none.
I don't know. I mean, when I say the fake electors in Arizona, Wisconsin, and in Georgia, we're talking a few dozen people. I don't know of a few dozen Democrats that pled guilty to voter fraud. So based on what we've seen, it does appear to be more Republicans than Democrats. Remember, Trump was in office. Trump was president during this whole alleged stolen election. He didn't produce any Democrats that got arrested. It was Republicans that got arrested for this shit. I mean, it does appear to be that way.
I know it sounds like that, but like if we're just talking about that, we're not talking about like the average voter. The average voter or on either side doesn't really do that much, and that's because we have a functioning democracy. Fair. Well, we're not really a democracy. We're more like a constitutional republic, but you know what I mean.
So we'll just meet in the middle and both agree that while we need to have a secure election, what Trump is saying, we both believe is way exaggerated, overstated, and for the most part, not true, or as you said, propaganda.
Yeah. You know what would be a much better solution than the SAVE Act, honestly? actually going through article after article of when Democrats are trying to make make softer laws on verification for ID, call it out and try to make it a national thing, so that way it gets put in the spotlight. There's an old.
But
phrase,
even if you do that, Jeremy, where you can show where Democrats are making it easier to vote, at best all you can say is, see, if they do this, it could open up the door for fraud. It still doesn't prove it's happening. It still don't prove. That's like saying if I unlocked all my doors and went to bed, yeah, it makes it easier to break in my house. That don't mean nobody's going to actually do it. That's what the argument is.
Right, but here's a little thought. Okay, let's say that some guy comes around your neighborhood and he circles around onto your house multiple different times for no reason whatsoever. I mean, he might not be doing anything, but I sure would be. But after like maybe the 17th time, I would at least go up to him and ask him, "Hey, do you live around here?"
I don't argue with that, but I'll just say this before I move it on from you. It would really help if they were producing criminals that did some of these things they talked about, the dead people that voted.
Absolutely.
That would really help the case, if the cause. I mean, you're talking an election where 70 some odd million people are voting in both directions, and you're producing nobody that's done this stuff. That's a hard sell. Last word to you.
Okay, last word I'm going to say is this. I understand why people vote Democrats, and I understand why people vote conservative. Now, and here's the thing. I don't want anyone to have a worse life than what they've earned. If they put in the work, they should be able to have a nice life based on what they do with their lives. The thing, though, that I think a lot of young people like about Democrats is they kind of act like Santa Claus. A lot of them say, we'll give you this, we'll give you that. And there's a lot of promising. It's hard to beat that.
Well, and I'll tell you what, certainly under Trump getting reelected, just the opposite. The Republican Party is acting more like the Grinch. I mean, they're not only taking away the entitlements you used to get, they're taking away your fucking job. So they're acting like the Grinch. So you got a choice. Do you want Santa or do you want the Grinch? I got to move it on. Jeremy, thank you.
Have a good one, Tim.
You too. Always a pleasure. Tap the screen. Get the likes on up to, what am I looking at? I can't see shit. You know, when you get older, I never wore glasses my entire life, but now that I'm looking at these damn screens, get me on up to 45,000. What did I say? Some promised cheaper food. The rep who promised cheaper food? I don't know what you're talking about. We pay enough taxes to get things the Democrats talk about. Oh, you're saying that we pay enough in taxes for some of those entitlements to be there for us. Well, the Republican Party, the party of self-reliance, would favor more of an environment where you got to keep almost all of the money you earn and there were no entitlements. That's what self-reliance is. I get whatever I do benefits me and my family, and you have to do whatever you need to do to benefit you and your family. If you fall flat on your face, you either lie there on your face until you die, or you figure out a way to get up. It's as simple as that. That's what self-reliance is. You rely on yourself for everything. Even if you are in a bad way, you figure it out. There's a lot of folks who do. I was talking to Straight Talk, one of my viewers that tunes in. I'm always enlightened. I enjoy talking to Straight Talk. He's obviously MAGA. And he was saying, he was echoing what Charlie Kirk said. He don't believe children in school should get free lunch. If mom is irresponsible, why should he have to pay for mom's irresponsibility? That kid should just pay the price. You happen to be a product of an irresponsible mom. He made it clear he does not believe children should get free lunch. That is a quote from Charlie Kirk. He agrees with it. Yep, go straight to hell. Who said that? William Perry. Liberal Democrats want a lot of pity, always play the victim. Leroy, I think you're only hearing Democrats play the victim because your ears are closed to Republicans doing it. I mean, you got white guys saying DEI cost them a job, folks walking down the street talking about replacement theory and how they don't want to be replaced by Jews. All of that's victimhood. All of that is. You know, the Civil Rights Act is a mistake because it's costing us jobs. And I mean, there's victimhood on the other side. You just agree with it when it's on your side and you disagree with it when it's coming from the liberals. Tap the screen and get us on up to 50,000. Help your boy out with the TikTok cap, hat, TikTok mustache goal. You know what I'm trying to say. TikTok cap gold, hat, mustache. You know what the hell I'm trying to say. Anyway, Debo, who you're looking at, that is me, Yope, and that's why he out the way now. I don't get what you mean by that. Earning what you have and being a Republican or Democrat, that has nothing to do with each other. Yeah, that's actually there is the way it's treated is what we're talking about. Thank you. Who sent that? Blue One Banks. Thank you for the hat and mustache. The point I'm making is the Democrats do believe that you can be hard on your luck and need some help. The Republican Party believes that if you are trying to seek help, you are more likely than not lazy and trying to defraud the system. So the Republican Party, when you're talking about entitlements, the first place they go is, well, what about all the people committing fraud? So same thing they're doing with voting now. But that the effort to curtail fraud leads them to resist helping people. No matter what happens, they're going to resist it because the belief is that somebody's committing fraud. Whereas the Democrat Party, they tend to believe the sob stories. Now, that could lead to people committing fraud, but they would rather give 100 people fraud to help out one person who really genuinely needs it. The Republican Party, on the other hand, would rather deny access to 100 people who really need help to prevent one person from receiving fraud. So the Republicans focus on the fraudulency of it all, and the Democrats focus on it from an empathetic standpoint. Why are Democrats so racist, says just me. Well, that doesn't coincide with what you actually see. Have you been to a Republican gathering? Have you been to a Democrat gathering? Does what your eyes see match the sentiment that the Democrats are racist and the Republican Party is all inclusive? If you go to those gatherings, is that what your eyes tell you? That when I go to Republican gatherings, it's very diverse. There's people of all races and cultures at Republican gatherings, black, white, Hispanic, Muslims, LGBTQ. Everybody's at Republican gatherings. And when I go to the racist Democrat gatherings, there's only one group of people. Is that what your eyes see? Because I would like to know where you're going and seeing that. Wow, that was an awesome observation. Yeah, I would like to know where your eyes seeing that. That the Democrats are racist and the Republican Party is all inclusive. Because I need to know where you're getting that from. But let me go back to the box before we continue on. I don't know what I just hit, but we'll make it happen with what did I hit there? Does that say golden shower? Really? I went to a Trump rally and it was very diverse. I've been to a couple of Trump rallies. There was diversity there, but nowhere near like when I went to a couple of Trump rallies. I've been to an Obama rally. It's like night and day. It's like night and day. You go to a Trump rally, there's a few African Americans sprinkled in there. I suppose some Hispanics are in there. You don't see any feminists. You're not going to see any LGBTQ flags or any of that. You go to a liberal gathering, you're going to see all of that shit. You're going to see all of that stuff. Feminists are there. LGBTQ are openly waving their flags and shit. You're going to see all kinds of things that are at a Democrat gathering. You're not going to see all that at a Trump gathering. So I suppose if you want to try to sell that, I mean, it's like you're walking around in Alaska in the wintertime with an igloo. If you want to try to sell that, you can, I guess. I don't know who's going to buy it, but let me go back to the box. Don't know what happened with my last caller, but we'll try it out with Spencer. What the fuck does that have to do with racism? Not a damn thing. You're totally off point. Who said anything about what does diversity have to do with racism? Is that what you're asking? What does having a diverse gathering have to do? Racists aren't going to have a diverse gathering. I mean, I assume you believe Klan meetings have black, whites, and Hispanics and everybody there, huh? Racism is the opposite of diversity. It has a lot to do with diversity. I'm having trouble bringing up guests, and I don't know why. We'll try it with Mike. Republicans are conservative. Currently, that is true. Mike, good evening.
What up, Timothy?
I'm not much at all hanging around like Al Sharpton at a Klan meeting. You know what we do here. So we're talking. I had a call to suggest that the Democrats are the racists. Republicans are, they're more inclusive. What say you?
Well, you know what I think. I think it's all bullshit. I think it's all propaganda, and that's just what they like to do to make this, to justify the cruelty that they want to perpetuate. Real quick, tap the screen, share the live, y'all. I mean, it's
thank you, and help your boy out with the TikTok cap, hat mustache. A lot of folks in here ain't recognizing what's going on. Share the live for sure.
I'm gonna take my own lead. How about that? I'm gonna take my own leads. Everybody,
thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Yeah. Thank you.
So listen, I want to respond to something that Jeremy said, which is stupid as usual, but I did agree with one thing that he said.
Blue one, thank you.
But yeah, so there was one thing that he. But here's the funny part. Before he left, he talked about, I can see why people vote for the Democratic Party because they promise all these things like Christmas. Well, Jeremy, that's the very reason you say you don't support MAGA no more.
What do you mean?
It's the very reason why he stopped supporting MAGA, because they didn't do the things that they promised him they would do.
Well, but they weren't.
He stopped supporting MAGA.
But MAGA was not promising free shit. No wars is not free shit.
Well, no, it was, but they were promising something, and they didn't deliver on what he wanted.
Yeah, but that's
he denounced supporting them.
Well, when he says, I understand what you're saying, but I also understand what he's saying. When he says the Democrats promise things like Christmas, he means free shit. EBT cards, food stamps, things you don't have to work for. Trump promised MAGA stuff, but it wasn't stuff that didn't require them to have a job. I mean, no wars. You're going to give you a better economy. That's not free shit. So MAGA wasn't promised free shit by Trump. That's what he's saying. The Democrats get promised.
Yeah, and I should have, if that's what I thought he meant, I would have asked him, what free shit are they promising? Because I don't remember.
Universal health care, tuition forgiveness. That's free shit.
But you pay into it through the system, don't you, Tim? Don't you pay taxes that pay into those things?
I pay into taxes, but if they forget my student loans, I ain't paid that much in taxes. I mean, if I get universal health care, I ain't paid that much in taxes.
But again, when you talk about free, you've paid into a system that hasn't paid you back either.
Yeah, that would be.
Where's your tax money going right now? Who's getting your tax money right now?
Well, shit, some Iranians probably, Venezuelans probably.
And the 1%, and the 1%, yes. Yeah. Okay, so let's just call it what it is.
But that is the belief, is that the Democrats give entitlements, is what they're talking about. Free shit. Stuff that even if you're born poor and don't have a job, what Charlie Kirk said, free lunch for kids in school. That person ain't paid shit into the system, yet the kid is already getting free lunch. They don't like that.
Yeah, I know they don't like it. They don't like it because they're greedy. They don't like it because they don't give a fuck about people. Because if I take their logic, we're over there trying to liberate people, spend billions of dollars to liberate them while we cut programs here for the American people. You square that shit. And by the way, let's talk about overseas. And if you will do me this tomorrow or after your live, if you want to call me, so I want to verify off this app a couple of things with you. So when I get up here, until this conflict ends, when I say certain shit that's going over there, you'll know that my source in the military is embedded, and I want to verify that with you off app. So when I bring it up, you can tell your viewers, no, I actually saw the person, and I know he's not bullshitting because I know what's going on over there. I know this directly.
Let me ask you this: if you do get some kind of ear to the ground or some inside knowledge, I'm gonna ask you the obvious question, because I played this clip. I'll play the clip first, and then I'll ask you the question, and you'll know what I'm about to ask you. But this came from today after the Senate had a briefing. This came from Senator Blumenthal.
From this briefing, as dissatisfied and angry, frankly, as I have from any past briefing in my 15 years in the Senate. I am left with more questions than answers, especially about the cost of the war. We seem to be on a path toward deploying American troops on the ground in Iran to accomplish any of the potential objectives here.
Have you heard that? Have you heard anything that suggests we're going? Because Trump and Hex have made it sound like we're not aiming to put boots on the ground. Now he had a meeting, a briefing today, a senator, a U.S. senator, and he's saying the opposite. What say you? What have you heard?
Okay, I'll give you one direct anecdotal. My nephew's on his way right now. He got his orders.
God bless him.
My nephew is on his way right now. So
Wow.
there's that. My other source has been over there since January.
So
My other has been over there since
what
January.
branch? What branch are they in? Are they Navy though? Air Force? I mean, are they in Army or Marines?
Both. I'll leave it at that. Both. And when I talk to you off app, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Okay.
And it doesn't get one of them doesn't get any higher than that. And there's a lot of people on this app. I don't know if you've noticed. If you ask the question to your audience over the next week, just ask. Do you guys know anybody that's?
I asked it at the beginning. It's interesting. I asked it at the beginning of the show because I made it clear I'm non-military, and I asked folks, "Have you heard of any group troop deployments?" Because I am hearing rumors that people are being called up. Now you're the first person to confirm it, but I have seen videos and shit like that. Have folks seen indication that? Because that's what I mean. That's the way you'll know that something is likely to happen. We got a lot of naval assets in that region. If they start sending actual manpower, the only other thing to expect is boots on the ground. We got enough military in that area right now to keep Iran from spreading beyond its borders. So the only reason you call up actual manpower is you plan on going within their border.
100%. Now, and I'm going to say this to Cedric, since you have somebody in the Air Force. While you're telling me I'm lying, Cedric, and I'm really only addressing this because it's military and people's lives are on the line, and you don't. And if your brother's in the Air Force, he should be able to validate what I just said to you. There's more people in these comments right now that's saying they got loved ones on their way than your bullshit ass comment telling me I'm lying. So sometimes it's best to just shut the fuck up and stop talking when you don't know what you're talking about. Because call your brother and ask him.
Yeah, and I'm seeing a lot of comments on all of the platforms right now of people saying, yeah, they are doing it. I mean, so people are.
Yeah,
we're not the. But you got somebody that's actually getting called up. I don't know anybody that's getting called up, but I've been hearing about it, and I wanted to ask that tonight. And yeah, I'm seeing that folks are saying that. So, I mentioned in the live though, if the objective is we want regime change, and Trump has said that out loud. We want regime change, and Trump has said he wants to play a part in who replaces the Ayatollah. You can't do that from the air. We have never replaced a leader without even in Venezuela, which is significantly less of a threat than Iran. We had to put some boots on the ground to change the guy.
You damn right. And let's be clear. And you made it. So the new Ayatollah. Not only did he lose his father, he lost his wife and his son. But I don't know if you know that.
Somebody said he lost his wife and daughter. I saw that. That's what that guy is absolutely not going to work with Trump.
I mean, let's be honest here. Who would?
Right.
After somebody is, and I'm not listen. And then this is the funny part of what the right does. They'll hear something that I just said and assume that we're caping for Iran. That has nothing to do with it. That has nothing to do with it at all. But I do find it interesting that ever since this conflict started, our president and Pete Hegseth have been on social media acting like they're playing Call of Duty.
That's terrible.
Trump had
the SpongeBob cartoons and shit.
Bomb on his X. They think this is a game. Now, let me ask you this, Tim. Do you think that is making the people of Iran, even if they agree that the Ayatollah needs to go, do you think they're more inclined to hate Americans or like Americans when they see us mocking the unaliving that's going on over there? Which one?
Yeah, when he's putting SpongeBob, you're gonna make even the protesters that was not in favor of the Ayatollah, because some of them are getting killed in the bombings we're doing. So we're not just bombing people that the protesters did not favor. We're bombing things that the protesters are in favor of as well. So yeah, when they're making jokes like bomb Iran and they're using SpongeBob, you're going to piss off the population of Iran. There's no doubt you're going to piss off the protesting population. But look, let me make it clear. I never believe one bit when you look at what ICE is doing, deporting people back to Somalia while it's in chaos, deporting people back to Haiti while it's in chaos, deporting people back to Cuba while we are putting a power embargo, an oil embargo on Cuba. So they have nothing, they have no way to cool the refrigerators. If we can send people back into those environments, why the hell would anybody believe we're doing this to help the Iranian citizens? We clearly do not care about these kind of people. So to me, that never made sense to begin with, that it was about helping protesters.
Well, and again, it's never has this, and this is why integrity and telling the truth and transparency was important, because you're going to need people to believe you at some point, right? You're going to need people to believe you. And what you just said right now, Tim, who believes that they're over there doing this to liberate the people of Iran? Nobody. And not only that, you can't even admit that you boom this school on accident. There's no one else that has tomahawks. There's no one else that has them.
Yeah, I think that
logistically.
That's what I believe Hegseth's answer, and I played the video of that yesterday. I think Hegseth's answer was better than Trump's, which is just keep saying we're investigating. We're at war right now, so we can only do so much investigation while for Trump to come out and say we believe it was Iran. Yeah, I think that even all of the MAGA I've talked to so far, I'm talking folks that would not vote against Trump no matter what. Even they believe it's a lie. I don't think anybody believes that Iran would bomb their own school. That was really bad.
Listen, I had to walk one of these dumbass MAGAs through this in detail. Missiles don't go up and come straight back down.
You're right, but here's what I heard. And those are like Denkow mentioned on the show yesterday. Those missiles are very precise. But here's what the Trump administration, or at least I had a MAGA viewer on here trying to defend it. What he suggested is Iran tried to shoot down the ordinance, striking it, but as opposed to destroying it, it altered its path, leading it to strike the school.
Jesus, you hear that? You hear that fuckery? I know. And Tim, here's the thing. That's how you know people aren't interested in being objective or using critical thinking at all.
Yeah.
When you can do that much dancing to make that make sense in a region where Trump is demonized, listen, that's not who he is. That's not who he is. But I want to
go ahead.
Man, the palm of your hand look like you've been slapping wildebeest. Jesus.
I was adjusting one of the other cameras, but go ahead.
I'm fucking with you. Listen to me, man. Listen, though, I'll say this, though. When Jeremy was talking about the SAVE Act, there's nothing good about the SAVE Act. They're trying to address a problem that doesn't exist.
I disagree. I think the SAVE Act would be beneficial if it wasn't for that aspect where I think that, you don't want non-citizens voting, but yeah, I agree with you that you're addressing a problem that is not real. It's not a real problem.
The numbers don't even support it. When you go to any source, I would challenge the 330 people in here, go find a source that shows that there is widespread voter fraud that's more than 1/100th of a percent.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you this: before any of you trans MAGA people respond, that's who they are.
Trans MAGA.
Before you say, they're trans MAGA because they're fluid in what they support.
Oh my God!
Trump can tell them there's no voter fraud tomorrow, and they will say there's no voter fraud tomorrow. He can tell them he can turn around and say, you know what, there is voter fraud. They will say there's voter fraud. They're about as trans as you can be.
Damn.
Their identity.
I will say in regards to your trans comment, just a week ago, MAGA was openly defending Kristi Noem. The minute she got fired, MAGA was like, yeah, she needed to go. Like that is what she was saying when she said that Alex Preddy was a domestic terrorist. We did shows, everybody, she ain't lied. What she doing is a good job. She gets fired. Well, she did lie to the public.
Yeah, I told you, man, they are bad. Listen, I don't want to hear them complain about trans nothing. Y'all worried about somebody going in the back, and you guys are more fluid than anybody on this earth right now. You will pivot and switch the minute you're told to do so. That's the crazy part about this. But back to my point, Tim. When we're looking at the data, when we're looking at the current events, Iran has already said, listen, this war is going to end when we say it's going to end. Now, they're doing the same thing Donald Trump is doing, but you know what difference they have?
What?
They have the ability to control the Strait of Hormuz to this point. to this point. All they have to do, like they talked about putting in mines in the strait today.
Yeah, Trump just threatened them not long ago via Truth Social, said if they put mines in there, we're gonna be violent. I'm like, what do you think? Wait, how much more? You've killed all their leadership. You blown. Yeah, you're threatening them with violence as if they're not already going. What more can you do? You gonna threaten to nuke the country if they do it? I mean, like, you can't get much more violent than you already are.
I'm laughing because these people are so Trump says you better not do it, and you're talking to the man that you unalived his family.
Right.
What you think he cares about what you're saying now? But here's what happens with those oil companies, and if you go read some of these CEOs of these oil companies and these other businesses that are over there, they're like, this is about to reach critical mass. This is going to reach critical mass as far as the
elaborate on what critical mass is. What do you mean? What would constitute as critical mass?
Okay, so you've got tankers over there, not just oil tankers over there. You have several commodities that are important.
Fertilizer,
fertilizer, aluminum, you know those things. And I said this yesterday. I said it this morning on live. There's timelines associated with lead times on those tankers leaving there and getting to their destination. It could be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Some of those tankers take a while. If they're already behind and they got to land here at a certain point, so these companies, because again, everybody forecasts, you don't have inventory for 2 or 3 years because you figure your lead time is 4 to 6 weeks to get it from where it is to where it needs to go. If that timeline slips, everything in your forecast slips. And if everything in your forecast slips, you got to try to pivot and either get it from somewhere else or offset that cost. That's so even no matter what anybody says, if it ended tomorrow, the stagflation will be done. It's going to be done. It's going to be there for 6 to 8 months anyway. So everybody, now listen, you can say that we're over there to secure the region so they can, okay, fine. That's an argument in and of itself. But the reason why it's so fucked up, Tim, because you can't believe anything this administration tells.
That is where the problem is that, I mean, you got a significant amount of Americans in this country and probably the free world that just does not believe President Trump, because the whole notion that you obliterated their nuclear weapons and now you're back in there in 7 months claiming they were, most of the free world does not believe that. In a large portion of this country, that war is unpopular. You thought Bush's war with Iraq was actually more popular than what Trump has done in Iran. So that's a problem, is that there's a lot of people that now you're telling people they blew up their own school and stuff like that. The information coming out of this is just not believable.
It's not believable, and there's more. How do I say this without there's a lot more going on with our soldiers than they're reporting to.
Speaking of that, I've heard rumors, and I'm gonna leave this at rumors because I don't fucking know, but I've heard rumors that the death toll of 7 is not accurate. I've heard people, huh?
It's not.
You believe it's higher than 7?
I know it's higher than 7.
How much higher? 8, 9?
I know it's higher, Tim. I can just tell you I know it's higher. I'll talk to you off that. I'm telling. I know these people think I'm crazy.
No, they don't. Because I believe it might be. When we found out that there were credible threats of retaliation, terrorist attacks within America, and they were hiding that report. If they'll hide that, they'll damn sure, they hid shit from Epstein. So they do have a record of hiding things. The idea that they don't want the death, Trump likes to make sure he's doing everything really, really well. The idea that he would hide death reports, I believe that could happen.
100%, 100%. And I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna tell you guys this. And Stevie D, I know you guys have been on this app listening to me for over a year now. I want you guys to, for the thing that you've heard me say, if you ever gave a fuck about double checking and fact checking me, if you go fact check the things I say on this program, you will see that not over 90% of the time I am spot the fuck on. I bring my receipts. I don't try to say shit that I don't know about. The numbers may be skewed, maybe by the percentage. If I'm saying 95, it might be 92 or 98. This is not a game to me. This is not a game. And now we're dealing with real life consequences for decisions that have been made and are going to put people at risk. I wouldn't say that if I didn't know. Matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you this: I didn't even know my source was over there until I got a phone call because they always check in with me. You understand?
What about the families of the deceased? Do they not? Well, we'll talk because I'm wondering if the toll is higher, why isn't it coming out via the families? Unless the families don't know that the person is gone already.
I know this. Yeah. And the military has a duty to report within a certain time after their family member has been.
Well, they could just simply list them. They could list them as, MIA. We didn't know.
MIA.
Yeah, list them as MIA.
I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you. Last but not least. Yes, last but not least. At the end of the day, and I've been saying this since I got on the show, if you can't trust the source like you can't trust Donald Trump, how can you be so confident when the man lies to us every fucking day and people give him the benefit of the doubt that he doesn't deserve? When these soldiers start coming home with these and these doorbells start ringing with these damn flags and drapes and shit, then you guys are going to be like, well, how did we get here? How did we get here? You don't understand. Most of these soldiers over there don't have access. They're not supposed to be communicating in a lot of ways.
Right.
Some are in better positions than others, but they're not giving orders for military for soldiers to go over there, and they're leaving in a couple of weeks if it's supposed to be over tomorrow. Yeah. You guys are not paying attention. Stop. Get out of what you are comfortable with for a second and possibly look at the other side and realize.
Yeah, I'll say this before I let you go. It kind of reminds me of the Samuel L. Jackson, Matthew McConaughey movie, A Time to Kill, at the end where they say, close your eyes and then imagine. Close your eyes and imagine this is happening under Obama. Would you trust what you're hearing? Imagine the same events are taking place. The government is telling you the same stuff they're telling you now, but close your eyes and imagine it's coming from the Obama administration. Would you believe it to the level you believe it coming from Trump? Would it make as much sense coming from the Obama, Biden, Harris administration as you believe it's coming from Trump? I'll just leave it at that. Mike, I got to move it on.
Yeah, I know. Quick question.
Sure.
Where is your phone right now? Are you using your phone for this?
I'm on it.
Okay. I'm gonna. When you get done, you call me. So when we get back on here tomorrow, you tell all these bastards out there. No, he verified that shit.
Will do.
Because this is serious. And lastly but not least, these companies that are moving product through the strait, they're not going to. All Iran has to do is threaten them. That's it. They're not going to risk losing an entire tanker because Trump said,
right,
if you better not. They're not going to do that.
Right, and that's a
mission. They make more money with their product sitting than they do shipping any fucking way.
More to come, Mike. I'll certainly talk to you. Thank you. All right,
okay,
moving on with the program. In the comments here, Kel Brew over on Instagram. And by the way, folks, if you wonder how to be a caller, if you do wonder how to be a caller, we take the callers on Instagram, Substack, and TikTok. Unfortunately, YouTube doesn't allow calls, but that's where most of my MAGA viewers are. We don't want to ostracize our MAGA viewers. We certainly don't mind talking to you as well. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. So the Handsome Liberal is the name on all platforms: Substack, TikTok, Instagram, here on YouTube. But we remain MAGA friendly. Always have been, always will be. Our comments go left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with Q. You can be critical of anybody on this program, including yours truly. So if you do want to be a caller, that's where you will find us. On Instagram, Kel Bruce says there are sources coming out of Landstuhl, Germany, is that there is casualties in the hundreds. Landstuhl is the main military hospital in Germany. Wow. I gotta say I tend to believe the number's higher than 7 as well. I do tend to believe that. I don't have any proof. But I'm going to go with kind of what me and my last caller was saying, is that Trump has a record of not being forthcoming with accurate information. I mean, whether we're talking about his mugshot parameters or his inauguration crowd size, I've been saying this on the program for a few years now, is that if President Trump gives you numbers, if those numbers can be exaggerated for his benefit, expect them to be exaggerated for his benefit. He doesn't win an election unless it's by a landslide. Doesn't matter what the numbers are. When he gives you numbers, they're going to be exaggerated for his benefit. So for us to be able to defeat the nation of Iran with only 7 casualties, those are great numbers. If the lower the casualties are, the better, more successful his operation looks. I'm going to just say I do believe that the number could be higher than 7. Significantly higher than 7? I don't know. But 7 with all of the amount, with the amounts of drones they're firing, all of those things are missing. None of them are hitting their target. Israel has claimed more than 7 deaths. Israel has claimed openly that they've taken more than 7. That's impressive if they only we've been able to stop them with only 7. So it is hard to believe. I'll just say it like that. That is a challenge to accept that. But let me go on with the program. Tap the screen, get the likes on up to 90,000. We'll take the next caller at 90, and we'll certainly go over to Instagram. Dencal, good evening. Welcome to the program. If we can make it happen over there. No, Trump does not lie, says Bentley Owenby. Okay, he's 100% honest all the time. Okay, fair enough. Real quick in the comments, Infamous says, no, he only wins an election against women. I don't know. I think he could win an election against some men, depending on the guy. Dencal, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
Hey, so now you're retired military. You heard, now, did you hear my last caller? Did you hear Mike?
I just heard the very end of it.
The claim is that now the Trump administration wants to control whoever replaces the Ayatollah. Currently, the Ayatollah's son is been placed at the helm. Now, we don't kill his whole family, so he's not going to work with the Trump administration. Trump has already made it clear he wants to have some say-so in who they replace. Can that be done solely from the air? Can we successfully change the regime? Because I don't tend to think so, but do you believe we can successfully change the regime in Iran solely from the air?
No, the things he says are impossible. And anybody who has an inkling or understanding of, military strategy and nation building and all understands you don't just get out there and say, I'm going to be in charge of whoever they pick for their leader. And then when they pick somebody else, you stuck standing there looking stupid. Now you come on TV and say, well, maybe the leadership they have is okay, and we're just going to walk away and claim victory.
Now, this is the dude's son, and everybody knows he's further to the right than his dad. So this dude is not okay. That's not believable.
That was a failure in leadership. But he didn't even have to make those statements. That's the hardest part about trying to make sense of what Donald Trump says, and people says he says what he means, and we want to hear what he's thinking. No, you don't. You don't want to hear what this dumbass is thinking 24 hours a day. You just don't.
No, he likes to be transparent with the public. And right now, I'm looking at News Nation. They got breaking news: B-2 bombers are striking inside of Iran. So I think Hexev said it's going to be real heavy today. So they've stepped up the strikes in Iran. But so you don't believe though that we're going to be able to successfully change that. So you're expecting boots on the ground, then, right?
No, I'm not expecting boots on the ground. I'm expecting him to walk away from what he said.
So
he said from the beginning, he said totally complete surrender and regime change. He didn't say let it go down to the next person in the family.
Yeah. So wait a minute. So you expect no boots on the ground, and we're just gonna just say, okay, it's over now. We're gonna leave the Ayatollah's son in power. Just leave it like that.
Brother, if we put boots on the ground and more body bags come back, you think the midterms was going to be bad now?
Well,
people do not have an appetite. We only got 7 so far. But we know that there's plenty more. We getting information from around the world, and I've been to launch too. That's where that's where your the people go when they get injured, when they're being transported back to America. They take them to launch too.
So you've been to Landstuhl, Germany, the hospital out there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But so do you also feel what my last caller was saying is Mike was saying that the death toll, the casualty rate is likely higher than what the Trump administration is releasing?
Oh, for sure. The way Trump does business is when he knows really bad things are coming, he softens things up as he goes along. Remember, he said it a week ago when it first started. There's going to be plenty more.
Yeah.
Like the administration has been trying to let us know that they know that we cannot protect those military bases over there. Right now, we're in the process of taking Patriot batteries from South Korea because we've ran out trying to protect Israel. So there's a lot more people that are dying because we cannot protect those people. We blew our load with trying to protect Israel in those first couple of days when they were throwing hundreds of missiles, at a
right.
day. Now we don't have unlimited Patriot batteries protecting the Middle East.
Yeah, from what I hear, the Iranian drones cost around 50 grand or so each, and they got a bunch of them. And the shit we're shooting them down would cost about 20 times as much. So we're firing $1 million, and they said it takes more than one of them off than to hit the things. So we're firing $1 million. We're firing $1 million Patriot batteries or whatever we're firing at these $50,000 drones, and we often have to use multiple ones to successfully strike it.
Right, and we're spending. Let the MAGA comprehend. We're spending about $5 to $6 billion a day to keep this up.
Yeah,
The Iranians are heavily fortified.
So
we got their leadership, but they got underground tunnels and they got underground bunkers where they got thousands of these dang old missiles that they can keep dropping at 50 or 100 a day, and we can't stop them.
So if we're not going to put boots on the ground in Europe now, Mike, my last caller says the opposite. He says that the deployments are being ramped up and they are likely to put boots on the ground. So you guys are on the opposite end of that. But if we're not going to put boots on the ground, then what do? Just walk away with our tail between our legs? Is that what you're saying, that the Ayatollah's son is going to remain in power and Trump is just going to throw his hands up and say it's over now?
No, I don't think he may. I don't believe that he's going to be able to get the Ayatollah's son. I think that dude is so far underground. I don't believe that they will ever, because they have a strategy against us. They knew they could never beat us militarily. They've built themselves for the long haul, just like everybody else. When we went to Afghanistan, Iraq, anywhere we go in the world, people play the long game with us because they know the more people that die, the more soldiers that come back in body bags, the American people will tire of that shit. So they're gonna fortify themselves. They're gonna drop a couple of bombs every now and then. They're gonna, they're already in it.
But I mean, so what is this? An ongoing conflict for years?
I don't know if it's gonna be years. We gotta look back at Trump's track record, just like he did with Greenland, but on a much larger scale. He's just gonna claim victory and move the fuck out.
So that's what I said. So we leave the Ayatollah in power. We just bomb some shit and leave and say we won.
Yes. You realize what a quagmire it would be if we went down the path of Iraq again? It's bad enough that he keeps saying he was doing. Well, I'm just doing surgical strikes. You see what I did in Syria. You see what I did in Nigeria. You see what I did in Venezuela.
But how do you even get them to reopen the what do you call it? The reopening. Yeah. But before you answer that, I want to read this comment because you were talking about the expense, and I believe it's 50 some odd $billion we've already spent on this war. But in the comments, I want you to hear this because this is a counter to what you're talking about, the expense. Florida Blondie, good to see you in the comments, Florida, says, yeah, but we just made billions of dollars off of the tariffs. And maybe if we stop all the billions that we have been basically stolen from us, like in Minnesota, don't forget Biden left billions of equipment in Afghanistan. So in other words, Florida Blondie is pointing out ways to offset the cost of this war, suggesting that Trump's tariffs have made us billions of dollars.
Well, first of all, I was never taught Trump math in school. So I can't explain to somebody who's trying to use a math that doesn't exist, try to explain to me how we are getting money, how we are getting anything. She said, we made money where? Where do we make money at?
She's saying, I mean, this is what Trump is saying, that those tariffs he imposed, Liberation Day, April 1st last year, those tariffs that he imposed on the world, he's saying that has brought in billions of dollars to America.
And you are saying what I just said. He said, we made all of this money in tariff. Yeah. The Supreme Court said it was against the Constitution. So I'm not sure who to actually be listening to.
It's a good point.
Or the Supreme Court. They said it was illegal, and now they're fighting over our money that we paid.
That's a good point. The Supreme Court did say it was
we got money from the tariffs. We paid money into the tariffs. We ain't getting shit.
Yeah, you got a good point. The Supreme Court did say those tariffs were unconstitutional, and now we're up in the air on whether or not we got to pay those countries the money back. So we certainly didn't bring in billions of dollars if the tariffs got to be refunded. That's a
right. That's that Trump math. That's that Trump math.
So your estimation is that when all is said and done, Trump is just going to throw his hands up in the air and say we won. And that's it. So how does the Strait of Hormuz gets reopened? We done a lot of damage to Iran. If we decide to just stop and on the world stage say we won, do they just open the strait back up?
He cuts a deal with Iran. He cuts a deal with the Ayatollah. He cuts a deal with them and says, open it back up and, we'll relieve some sanctions quietly. And yeah, Trump's the ultimate deal maker. He knows how to make, he just like he did with Greenland.
So your estimation is this is going to be all for naught.
I don't know. You got people like Florida, Barbie or whatever her name is, who believe that we're making money somehow with all of this chaos that Trump is, Yes, they're going to come out and say Trump won. These people cannot be objective. It is outside of their ability to look at what's going on and say this is a hot fucking mess. They cannot do it.
Mm. Well, I don't think it's that they're going to say that we won. MAGA often echoes the sentiment of Trump. Trump is going to explain it in a way that MAGA will believe, obviously. And according to Trump, he's going to come across with some kind of way where we made a ton of money. Iran is not going to pursue nuclear weapons. Remember, we obliterated them the last time, and MAGA was very happy about their ambitions being obliterated. So what he says, MAGA tends to believe, and yeah, MAGA will walk away with the notion that we have successfully thwarted the Iranian regime.
Right. And while all of this is going on, Trump is in the background removing all sanctions on Russia, welcome them back into the international community, saying that they can sell oil around the world at regular prices, and it's all cool. Right after Trump has a 1-hour phone call with the dictator that we have no idea what the fuck they talked about, and he came right out and said, oh, the war is about to be over.
I know what I think I know what him and Putin probably talked about. Putin probably told him, I need to sell. You need me to stop helping out the Iranians. I need you to stop sanctioning our oil from being sold. And he probably, because I think Putin is a little bit more educated on this than Trump. He's been, KGB for years. I think what Putin did is use the fact that we now are at war with Iran, and that he can help the Iranians just like we've been helping the Ukrainians. You've been helping these people destroy my Russian soldiers. We're going to help them destroy your American soldiers unless you stop preventing us from selling our oil. I believe he made a deal with Trump, and that's kind of how it went down.
We got intel that says they've been helping Iran.
Yeah.
With satellite imaging to target American troops, and our president got on the phone with this man and came out and had Scott Bessent say, we're gonna relieve this problem with oil, the global oil market, by allowing Russia, the people that are literally getting our soldiers killed, to be able to sell oil. It's crazy. It's crazy.
And that also means that's going to be a step backwards for the Ukrainians as well.
Yeah, for sure, because they were having a hard time funding what they were doing. It's the fourth year. They bogged down.
This is a mess. I'm going to tell you, hopefully it turns out right, but right now this looks like a mess.
Have you asked any of the Trump people like how they feel about Trump? I mean, Trump just opening up, everything is going towards Russia. He done quit trying to solve the war. He just now is opening them up. And now they're talking about we may even start dealing with them economically. Like this is everything we said in the beginning about Trump and Putin.
No, I have not asked MAGA yet, and I will, but I'll tell you that it depends on where you get your media. If you're watching CNN or MS Now or some of them networks, what you're talking about will be discussed. If you're watching Fox News, a lot of this stuff, you're OAN, Newsmax, they're not going to tell you this stuff. So a lot of MAGA probably are not aware of this. MAGA's going to tell you all of the stuff that Trump is saying about how great the war is going and how much stuff is being destroyed. MAGA's not going to, Fox and Newsmax, rather, right-wing media is going to tell you the good pro-America stuff that's going on. But anything that's a disaster or mishaps, you're not going to hear that on right-wing media. Or they'll play a real quick clip of it and move on.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Like, there's more and more of these, especially the right-wing social media people, they all starting to kind of say this is bullshit.
Yeah, they turning into rhinos. That's what's going to happen. They're going to be hanging out with Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yeah, so
and Candace Owens,
right, they're gonna start turning into rhinos once they keep
Laura Ingraham, she having a hard time. She over there trying her best to stay true.
Yeah, if any of them do some sort of expose like what Mike was talking about, where the casualty rate may be higher than 7 or whatever, if Megyn Kelly or any of them do a report on that and Trump gets wind of that shit and starts attacking Megyn Kelly, she's a rhino at that point. And that's what would happen. I mean, so a lot of the folks on the right are only going to undermine what's going on so far, because Trump suggesting that Iran blew up that school and then you got Hegseth not even agreeing with it, and that's who the information would come from, is the Secretary of War. So obviously what Trump said about Iran that is not true. The right is not holding him accountable for that.
He stood right behind the military reporter. Yeah. And Trump say, I've been told.
Yeah.
About who? And then they asked him, we're investigating. Motherfucker, you talking about GPS precision-guided munitions. You know exactly the latitude and longitude of every fucking missile you shoot.
Yeah.
Don't tell me they hit 4 locations within 200 yards, but that one, we're not sure about that one. We gotta investigate that one. Trump says we sell those tomahawks to everybody. We sell tomahawks to 3 countries.
We haven't sold anything military to Iran since the late 1970s when we were giving them F-14s and shit.
We've sold tomahawks to 3 countries: Israel, UK. I think it may be one other, maybe France or something. And none of them are in the war.
Right. This is your president.
Get up there and say that, and then say, he was, nonchalantly talking about this episode or something, like it just demeaning, the dead and stuff, acting like this is some type of Call of Duty video.
Yeah, that's terrible. The stuff he did online. I mean, and I do believe that will come back to haunt him. Dinky, I do got to move it on, but I do believe that that's going to come back. Putting SpongeBob. You're right. I mean, trying to make it look like it's a Call of Duty movie when people are actually dying. Just really not only disrespecting the men, the men in uniform, but people are dying in this. It just looks bad. It looks all around bad to make a joke about this. So
yeah, what his campaign hat on?
Yeah, with the dignified transfer. I'll just say this. One thing I do disagree with you on, I tend to agree with my other caller, Mike, on this. I believe boots will be put on the ground. I believe we're going to put boots on the ground. So we'll see if you're right.
We'll see. I don't think he will go that far, but then again, he's unpredictable. So
fair enough. Well, we'll find out probably within a month. I don't even think it'll be a month. I do believe we're going to put long. No, it won't. He said about 4 weeks. So yeah, you'll be able to tell when they start finally admitting how many foot soldiers are being deployed. I mean, because right now we got.
My friends. I've heard some of my friends said some of their people are being sent. They're heading out on deployment out of their regular rotation. So yeah, they definitely are sending more people out into theater. That doesn't mean that they're deploying there to put boots on the ground, but I know that they're moving assets around. So we'll see.
All right. Denkel, appreciate you coming through. Thank you.
All right.
Yep. All right, moving on with the program, by the way. Go ahead and drop for me, Denkel. I'll let you do that. In the comments, he will have no choice. His ego will have them on. Yeah, and that's what I believe, is that Trump wants to lay the law down, lay the smack down to Iran. And I think that's what MAGA wants. I do believe there will be boots on the ground. If Obama did that, Republicans would be sending hate threat messages saying Obama should be in prison. Yeah, that's Democrats doing the same thing to Trump. But yeah, I really, listen, because the right is still trying to say that Trump did nothing wrong in terms of not going to Congress to declare war. They're trying to say this is still not a war. If this ain't a war, I don't know what the fuck is. I don't know what is. I mean, you got this man is spending billions of dollars bombing Iran, and this is not a war. And by the way, before I go to the next call in, tap the screen, get us on up over the 100,000 hump. Newsmax, I always had not Newsmax, News Nation is what I'm playing. I always had the news on a big screen behind all of this shit. The ticker just said that, remember Trump stated that if Iran were to lay mines in the Strait of Hormuz, he was going to get even more violent. They just announced that they're laying mines in the Strait of Hormuz. So they are doing it. They are laying mines in the Strait of Hormuz. So whoever the powers that be in Iran obviously did not get the memo from President Trump, or they certainly didn't take it seriously. But I will say this. Trump is bragging on how there's B-2 bombers and shit all over Iran right now striking them. Pete Hegseth made it clear tonight they're going to step up the strikes. So you're going to do all of this additional violence and then tell them, well, if you put mines in, we're going to be violent. You're already doing it. I mean, you're painting a picture where they have nothing to lose. Why wouldn't they lay mines in the strait? You're actually laying the bombs on thick. I mean, to me, you just incentivize them to do it. So I don't know. It's a war excursion. What the hell is that? What is a war? An excursion means you're hanging out on the beach sipping Mai Tais. An excursion is usually something pleasurable. A war excursion. That's like a cardiac orgasm. You can't put a tragedy and pleasure in the same sentence. That doesn't make any sense. It's not. I think. Listen, to me, it sounds just like other terms we've created to not want to acknowledge the truth. Alternative facts, as opposed to just saying it's a lie. It's alternative facts. Remember insurgents? You didn't want to call them the enemy, so they became insurgents, enemy combatants, just making up shit. You didn't get allies, so it became a war. A coalition of the willing. This is the stuff that came out of the Bush administration. Just making up shit because you don't want to admit what you're actually doing. So it's a war of excursion, just coming up with other new shit. Anyway, we don't want to see the truth that we have a president that's a rapist. Damn, that's a pedophile. It is time for him to go bye. Well, Trump ain't going bye-bye, Heather. He's not going bye-bye. Unless the Democrats do extremely well in the midterms and they're inaugurated in office next January. Understand the Trump administration does not want the Democrats to take over the House and Senate. Not just because it's going to be counter to his policies and legacy, but I'm going to tell you right off the bat, they are going to try to put that man out of office and possibly in a prison cell. If the Democrats do very well in the midterms and they get enough senators and they get enough members of Congress, they are going to impeach him again, guaranteed. So when he says they're going to impeach me, he's 100% right. Guaranteed they're going to come up with something to impeach him for. So he has a huge interest in preventing Democrats from winning the midterms because it could mean him going to jail. It could mean members of his administration going to jail. Hegseth is going to get impeached. All of them. Kristi Noem may be called back up for possible crimes or whatever. I mean, all of them going to get in trouble. So absolutely, he has a vested interest in making sure the Democrats don't win. And having said that, I will submit this to you. If the Democrats do well in the midterms, not only will you hear claims of fraud, expect Speaker of the House Mike Johnson to refuse to swear them in January. Expect there to be a reason given. Remember during the government shutdown, you had a congresswoman in Arizona that had won, and Mike Johnson would not even swear her in, saying, well, we got to wait till they open up again. He could easily have sworn the woman in. He just chose not to swear the woman in. That guy is not going to swear in anybody that Trump claims won by fraud. So expect Speaker of the House Mike Johnson to refuse to swear in anybody that has won in the midterms. Expect some of those folks, they're going to allege that some of them won by fraud. It'll be 100% Democrats. Remember, the Republicans under President Trump, well, I won't say Republicans, I'll say President Trump himself. President Trump does not see Republican fraud. Only Democrats cheat in elections. Only Democrats. He's never alleged that a Republican has cheated in an election the entire 10 plus years he's been a politician. He's never said that. He's seen a million Democrats do it. He's never seen a Republican do it, even though some Republicans have actually pled guilty to it. He does not see Republican fraud. He only sees Democrat fraud. So expect him to see widespread Democrat fraud, and Mike Johnson will not swear in the people they're accusing of fraud. Remember, this is what he wanted Mike Pence to do. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson will do it. Mike Johnson will do what he was trying to get. Mike Johnson, or what is his name? Is it Mike Johnson? Whatever his name is. Johnson, Speaker of the House Johnson will do what he was trying to get Vice President Mike Pence to do. Anyway, looking in the comments, though, bro sees both sides. Thank you, Kevin. But yeah, Trump does not see Republican cheating. He only sees Democrat fraud. He didn't see a crime on January 6th. No, he did not. He saw a bunch of patriots. Mike Johnson, yes, King Mo. Tap the screen, get us up to 105. Look at the comments. This is a free forum. We're trying to keep the program entertaining. So we're taking complaints, suggestions, comments, and compliments if there are any. So that's what we're kind of doing on here. Looking in the comments, so to help your boy out with the TikTok cap go, hat and mustache, if you will. That's the same way as the Democrats don't see none of their people doing any kind of fraudulent stuff. Well, the Democrats, though, Kevin, have not been the ones screaming out about election fraud. They've not been the one doing it. It's all been Republicans. Before President Trump became president, there was very little claim of fraud. I know the 2000 election with the hanging chads, but for the most part, you didn't have a lot of politicians. Hillary Clinton made a few statements too, but nothing was like what Trump is doing. Looking in the comments, somebody sent me something I wanted to acknowledge, and I didn't see where it came from. But thank you, whoever sent that. I think it was either a cap or a head mustache. Looking in the comments, though, take Trump down. Trump is not going down. I don't think Trump is going. You're not going to see Trump go to jail or any of that. But I do believe the midterms are going to be. They're going to be wild, as Steve Bannon once said. What? I'm looking for my glasses. I put the MAGA hat on. Wow, I'm getting backwards here. How crazy is it that felons can vote when they probably be his biggest supporters? That's a topic in itself. That's a topic. I'll tell you this. The idea, and I'm not even going to argue whether or not Trump is guilty or it was a witch hunt. That's a different argument. But the idea that an American can literally be a felon and be president of the United States, but while being a felon, they can't vote for president of the United States makes zero sense to me. I think now that Trump has become our commander in chief with all of those felonies on his record, they should remove the restriction that you can't vote if you're a felon. How can you get the job, but you can't support the person getting hired? That makes, to me, once he got hired as a felon as commander in chief, they should have reduced the way we view felons for all forms of employment. You couldn't even get a job at McDonald's with 34 recent felonies on you. They wouldn't hire you. Thank you, Mike the Sailor. Appreciate that. Yeah, you wouldn't get, you imagine going into trying to get a job at McDonald's and you had to put on there, could I get an extra sheet of paper? I've had some problems with the law. So you need an extra sheet of paper to put all those felonies on there. And then when the employer starts asking, well, you know, it was a witch hunt. I didn't actually, it was a witch hunt. They had it in for me. You're not getting that job. They're not going to hire you for that. So the idea that you can have all those felonies and actually become president, to me, should make it so that if you want to get a regular job in America, those felonies should not hold you back either. We actually gave the nuclear codes to somebody who has felonies, but we wouldn't let them flip burgers. That don't make any sense to me whatsoever. Felony charges were dismissed. He was convicted of the shit. In fact, I don't even know if you went through all the shit he went through. And by the way, he was found guilty of those felonies. The felony charges were not dismissed. He still is a felon. They were not dismissed. Because he became president, you can't punish him for it. But those felony charges were not dismissed. He is a felon. He still is officially a felon. They just can't do anything about it. Those charges were not dismissed. That is not accurate information. Convicted by a biased court system. That's real nice. Well, Florida Blondie, like I said, imagine going to McDonald's, applying for a job, and you got a bunch of felonies on your record, and you tell the employer, don't look, I was convicted by a biased court system. It's bullshit. You wouldn't get that job. You would not get that job. You know how many people got convictions that believe that they got convicted by a biased court? Crooked prosecutors and crooked cops. Half the prison system believe that shit. Anyway, let me go back to the by crooked. He got convicted by a crooked system. Everybody says that. Everybody feels that way. That ain't unique to President Trump. They all feel that way. Continuing on with the program, let's try it out with Randy. Money talks. It ain't just, money talks power, but you're trying to compare Trump to the average Joe who probably did commit the crimes. No, I'm saying that Trump probably did commit the crimes as well. Just because Trump happens to be a politician or a man of prominence, why should he automatically be assumed that he didn't commit the crime, but some poor average Joe did? Why is Trump getting the benefit of the doubt? Plenty of wealthy people commit crimes. He's pardoned a bunch of them. I don't see any reason to believe he did not commit the crimes over the average Joe, other than him telling you he didn't do it. You just believe him and you don't believe the average Joe. That's the only difference. I tried to bring up a guest. That didn't work. We'll try it again in the comments, though, real quick. If you're too old to do my job, you're too old to be a politician. I don't know if I agree with that. First of all, I need to know what your job is. Shit, you might be working on an oil rig out at sea. I don't know. I don't agree with that. I do believe that the maturity counts. So I don't believe you should be Trump's or Biden's age. I'm willing to shave off a few years and say that you shouldn't be like folks talking about Trump 2028, indicating that they want him to become a president again at 83 and serve until he's 87. Yeah, that's fucking ridiculous. I agree with that. But 60, 65, I'm okay with that. I'm okay. I'd say probably cut it off at 70. Cut it off at 70. I would be okay with it up to about 70. No more boomers in office. Shit, is Trump some of them motherfuckers a silent generation almost, ain't they? What year did the boom? I thought the boomers were after World War II. I think Biden might be part of the silent generation. Shit. I don't know if they boomers or not. They may be the generation before baby, because baby boomers was the generation, they came back from World War II and they made all of these, all of the kids and stuff started getting made. That's what the baby boomers generation is after World War II. I think Biden was born before that, wasn't he? Alexa, what year was Joe Biden born in?
Joe Biden was born in 1942.
Yeah, okay. He's during the war. He's during the war. I guess he would be at the beginning, and then Trump would be at 45 or something like. Okay, all right, they baby boomers. I was about to say they almost the greatest generation, baby boomer, the same thing. I was about to say they damn near the silent generation. Democrats voted for more gun control. Charlie Kirk would still be alive. That's a good point. But Charlie Kirk said that his death was acceptable to maintain gun control. Some deaths are acceptable. That's what Charlie Kirk said. So he was okay with that. Handsome conservative. See if it brings him up. Democrats voted for, I saw that already. We're better off where CK is now. Damn. You said we're better off with Charlie Kirk underground, huh? Handsome, good evening.
Hey, listen, I just wanted to come up and actually agree with something you said earlier.
Oh, my. What did I get right?
Well, it's just my opinion. It's all it is. But I do believe we're going to put troops on the ground.
Yeah.
I know it's not popular to say, but I've been calling this war since it started. I knew we were going to get into it when we sent the ships over that way. There was no way we were going to waste all that money sending it over. I knew we were waiting on a reason to attack. When Israel attacked, that was our reason to jump in and support our allies. I'm telling you, honestly, I think we're going to, for better or worse, I think Trump is going to put boots on the ground. I don't think he's going to walk away from this, especially because, in my opinion, I think he's going to lose if he doesn't see it through. If he doesn't try to see it through, let me put it that way.
What is winning for us in this? How do we win this?
I thought it was won when we took out the leadership. Honestly, I thought it was won when we took out the leadership. Have you ever looked at Iran? Have you ever looked at the mountains that are surrounding the country, the fortification that they actually have, and how hard it would be to get the troops in? I mean, honestly, just
well, we got troops in that. We got troops in Afghanistan, and that was very mountainous. We got my soundboard is charging. We got troops in Afghanistan, and that was very mountainous. Even though Iran is a much stronger country militarily.
Right, but like your last guest, or a couple of guests before your last guest said, they have bases, they have underground facilities. So while we're trying to get over there with our troops, however we plan to do it, I've never been in the military, I don't know. But however they plan on getting the troops there, that's going to give them time, like you said, to set up the mines in the strait. It's going to give them time to get their shit together that they're hiding. They got bases underground. If we have stuff underground, they got stuff.
I mean, not only would they
attack for years.
That's what I was just about to say, is that if they're worth their salt, if they have any brains, we've been threatening to attack them. And of course, with President Trump obliterating them in fucking June, I mean, even Obama with the deal, kind of put them on the cusp of even possibly being attacked under Obama. If they got any brains, they've been preparing for this shit for a long time.
Well, like I said, this is just my opinion, and it isn't worth anything. But I'm just going to say, I can't see Trump backing down from this. No. Politically. If he backs down from this,
he looks weak.
And I'm not a Republican. I'm not a MAGA. I'm a conservative, but I can see the MAGA side of this. They've invested troops, they've invested military equipment, they've invested lives. Like you said, there's been like, what was it, 100 and something odd lives that so far that we know of. Yeah, that's going to be.
Now, the Trump administration is telling us we've only lost 7 casualties. Do you believe that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said, or one of your guests earlier said that we lost like over 100.
I've had guests that, I mean, I've had several people I've talked to offline that do believe that the 7 casualty number is inaccurate. But the Trump administration is saying it's only 7 or 8 or something like that.
Honestly, I don't know. I don't know how many troops we lost, but I do know this. With everything that we've shipped over there, with all the millions and millions of dollars that it's cost us, and to top the cake off with icing, with all the deaths that it's cost Americans, okay, whether it's 7 or 700, there's no way for he's backed himself into a corner. For better or for worse, he needs to see this through, and he needs to get it done, or he's going to lose. I mean, he's just going to lose. If not,
what is the product of getting it done? What does success look like? What are we seeking?
For him, I thought we already took care of it. But for him, I would assume it's what he said, complete and utter surrender. I've been watching a lot of news channels, not American news channels, because you can't get the truth from any of them. But I've been watching a lot of other news channels that you can pull up on YouTube and shit like that. And I'm telling you, you know, man, this has turned into almost a holy war. As far as Israel goes, and I've heard it.
But wait a minute, because conservative the Trump administration, and a hell of a lot of my beloved MAGA adamantly state this is not a war. How do you say it's turned into a holy war? They say we're not at war.
It's not a holy war for a lot of MAGA, but for Israel it is. For Israel, and the reason I say that is, don't forget, I've told you this time and time again, no matter if you're the right or the left, you're all getting paid by AIPAC. And AIPAC is Israel.
Okay, so what is it for you? Okay, you say
they're going to jump.
You say it's a holy war for Israel. What is it for the United States? What do we call what
for the United States? Honestly, I think it's oil. I think it's control of oil. I think he's willing to do whatever he's got to do to get as much oil. We have oil here, don't get me wrong. We don't use it. We don't drill for it as much as we could. But our plan has always been to use everybody's oil until there ain't no more, and then we're going to use ours. I mean, it's not hard to figure out.
But what do you title this? Do you believe that currently, as we speak, America is at war?
Yeah. I mean, I know politically they're not calling it a war. I think they shot that down in the House and the Senate. But if we're using planes and missiles and troops, and I mean, to me, that's a war. If people are dying, that's a war. I mean, I don't know. It's not a right side or a left side thing. People are dying. It's a war.
So then, how do you respond to the notion that the folks on the left suggest that Trump got us involved in an illegal war because he had to go to Congress to declare war? So you're saying we're at war without Trump going through the traditional steps of officially declaring it. So do you agree with folks on the left?
I'm a little confused on that. I have to be honest. I was always taught growing up that he may have to go through Congress to declare war. But that doesn't mean he's not in control of the military and the troops. He can do almost anything he wants by executive order as far as the military and the troops go. So technically, yeah, it's not a war, but it's a war. People are dying.
I will tell you this.
On paper, nobody's going to say it's a war.
I will tell you this. I believe that with what you just said, that he can, technically do quite a bit as a president without going to Congress. I tend to believe that after the Trump administration, they're going to make some big changes to what a president can do, because he's gotten involved in so many things that you didn't normally see a president do in the past. Do you agree with me in what I'm saying is that, I mean, how many, he's talking about nationalizing elections, for instance. He's used troops on U.S. citizens and, National Guard. I mean, I do believe that after President Trump, because he's taken his level of power so far beyond what we are familiar with when it comes to a president. He's suing media outlets, for instance, using the FCC to go after, everybody from Colbert to ABC. He's doing a lot that you don't normally see a president do. And what I'm saying is I do believe in the future, once Trump is gone, there's going to be a push to limit what a president can do. What say you?
Yes and no. Yes, I believe there will be a push for that, and no, it won't be successful. And I'm going to tell you why. Because at the end of the day, if a Democrat gets into office as a president, or a Republican stays, if a Republican stays in office, that's not going to happen.
Right.
But if a Democrat gets in, let's just say a Democrat gets in, whoever, Gavin Newsom, I don't know. I'm just whoever's running at the time.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to want that power. They're not going to want to lose that power. As a president, to not have control of the military, no, I don't see that.
Here's where it could happen.
Either side.
What if you get a Democrat in there, but he does not have control of the Congress and Senate, which kind of could happen under Trump. Let's say Trump loses in the midterms. They could vote what I'm talking about right now if he loses bad enough, where they can go beyond the veto or whatever. Congress and the Senate can take away some of those powers now. They can actually do that if you got enough folks in Congress and the Senate that think he's doing too much.
Okay. Look, all I can say on this is, and I might be wrong, but I think whoever is the president at the time, and Donald Trump has proven this, by the way, whoever is the president at the time, if they don't like what Congress and the Senate are up to, all they got to do is take it to the Supreme Court. If the Supreme Court says the president legally has the power by the Constitution to control the troops, that's not going to change.
Well,
they're going to have to change they're going to have to change the Constitution.
And that's what I was about to say.
I don't see that happen.
That's what I was about to say. Is you actually pass a law where it explicitly says that you can only, let's say for instance, when it comes to a president using troops without declaring war, they can denote the size, like you can only use this amount, or you can only spend this much money, or they can limit it enough where before you start this, we're going to need more ships than that. We're going to need more soldiers than that. So we're going to have to declare war. You can, because what Trump has sent, like 10% of the U.S. Navy. I mean, you sent enough shit that's war type. If you, like what we did in Venezuela, friends, you could shrink down and literally give parameters. Okay, if it's just a conflict, we'll limit it to you can only request this amount of troops. You can only use this amount of assets or whatever. And that would solve that.
It might solve that. I'm not disagreeing with you. I just don't see it happening because, like I said before, at the end of the day, if a Democrat president gets in there, he's not going to want his hands tied. Okay, I think something like that going through the House and the Senate would bring about the filibuster. I think that would bring about the filibuster because nobody really truly wants to tie the president's hands. They just want to do it now because it's Trump.
I disagree in some levels. I agree.
I'm not for it. I'm not for the war. I'm giving you my opinion.
Whoa!
Thank
you, Danny.
Holy crap, that's cool.
That's awesome. I agree and disagree with you. I agree with you that a party, Democrats or Republican, are not going to want to limit their commander in chief. However, I do believe there are some areas where you could have a Democrat president and Democrat House and Senate, and the president would say, well, I don't need that much power. Like, I don't need to be able to sue media outlets. I can see somebody like Obama telling the Democrat House and Senate, you can take that away from me. I don't believe in stifling free speech. You can prevent a president from suing media outlets that are speaking negatively of him. Or what is he trying to sue the View because the View don't? Go ahead.
Let me ask you this then. Let's say that a Democrat, and I hate to say it, but let's say Gavin Newsom, because that's the only one I remember right now, is running for the presidency and he wins. Let's say the House and the Senate get taken over by Democrats. Mm-hmm. Okay. What's to prevent the Republicans, when they come back into power, and they will come back into power eventually, from flipping it back over? I mean, if you can make it one way, then they can just flip it back over, couldn't they? If they got the power to do that, could they not?
I mean, that's true, but that's what that applies to any law. Any like Trump passed the Lincoln Riley Act. I mean, what's stopping it? Because you tend to believe that an act that's so popular like this, because most of the American people will agree that the president should not be using his power to stifle free speech. So you would expect that if you get the opposing party in there and they all of a sudden decide to undo something like that, it's going to be unpopular. Like the Democrats would never go in there and undo the Lincoln Riley Act. That would be super unpopular. That's like suicide if you take away something that most people wanted. So if you start limiting the presidential powers in some of those areas that most people would favor, and then all of a sudden the other side get in there and no, we want to get a president all these powers back. That would be almost like political suicide to do that.
Well, like I said, man, I mean, it could go either way. I can't say what they may do. I don't think they're going to do it because I think their thought process is that whatever we do is going to be used against us when we're in power.
Why the hell would anybody think like that?
Very careful.
Why the hell would anybody think like that? Trump came in. He overturned virtually every executive order that Obama and Biden created, not to mention most of their laws. So what you're saying that they should worry about in the future, it's already happening now. Trump has already shown that a person can get in there and undo everything. So why would you come in as a Democrat and not do stuff, expecting him to overturn it? He's doing that now.
Yeah. But you're specifically talking about the president no longer having control of the military.
No.
Did I misunderstood?
No, I just gave you an example. If you could limit the size of the conflicts they can get us involved in, you could limit how many. Look, if you need more than such amount, if your budget for what you're trying to get involved in exceeds this amount, you got to go to Congress and declare war. If the troops you need exceeds this amount, you got to go to Congress to declare war. I mean, you could put parameters on it so he still has control of the military, but he don't have it to the point where he can get us in an out-and-out war.
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. All I came up to really say is that I really do believe we're going to put troops on the ground. And as far as the rest goes, we're just going to have to sit back and see. But the point is, we've already lost soldiers. Now, I you know how I feel about that. We're going to lose soldiers no matter what in any war. But yeah, he's backed himself into a corner. There's with his base, there's not going to be we're backing off and then everything's honky dory. I don't believe that.
So he's going to dig a deeper hole. So in other words, he's going to dig a deeper hole is what you're saying.
Yes, but to top off on something you said earlier with the Congress and Senate and them being like, say, all Democrats take over the Congress and Senate. Remember why they lost the last time? Because of all the things they were going after Trump on this and they were going after Trump on that, the 36 this and the 36 that. If they hop back on that train, if they haven't learned their lesson, even if they get elected, if you repeat the same thing that got you kicked, that lost you the power the first time, you're going to lose power the second time.
I don't totally believe that. I think that going after Trump the first time and Trump saying it was a witch hunt and all of that stuff. Well, Trump also had a record to run on from his first term that many viewed as more favorable for this country than what Biden did in his term. Trump 2.0 is nowhere near as favorable for the country, according to most of the citizens. The economy is not as good. You know, he can't brag about he didn't get us into any wars. He's constantly bombing people. So a lot of the positives of Trump 1.0 do not exist under 2.0. So I don't think him saying it's a witch hunt or saying that, you know, you, and by the way, he won't be running again. So, you know, the fact that they went after him.
I understand, Tim. I do. But all I'm saying is if you got to remember, the Republicans sooner or later are going to get back into power.
True.
And what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I know you've heard that before.
Well, shit, Trump is doing that now. See,
I'm not defending.
No, you're not defending it. I'm not saying you're defending. What I don't understand
I'm
is
just concerned.
Why?
I'm concerned that this is going to be a fight that never ends. I want a government, and I don't care. I'm not Republican or Democrat. I want a government that's going to work to make my life better. I want a government that's going to work to
then
make
shit,
your life better.
you should want him impeached. You think he's doing what you want?
He's not doing what I want. I didn't want the war to start. I saw it happening. But I'm not for it, Tim. I'm not for people going and fighting a war that's not going to get us anything. It's going to make the rich richer.
Yep.
But they're going to find a way to do that either way. You know, I don't want to see our troops die to make a billionaire another $1 billion.
Well,
if that makes any sense,
it makes. Not only does it make sense,
a government that looks at the people and just works for the people. I mean, that was what Trump ran on the first time. And like I told you, I didn't vote for him the second time because the second time he ran on division. The first time he made promises like that one guest I super chatted you. He's like, I want a government that works for me. I want a government that wants to do right by me, that is hopefully not crazy and bonkers shit.
No.
But that, you know, I just want somebody that's going to make the American lives easier. Democrat and Republican, dude. Well, I want to eat. I want to buy gas. I want to raise my family's grown, but I want people to raise their kids and be able to do it.
We'll talk about it on the next. We'll talk about it in the next election because that's not going to happen this time. I got to move it on, no handsome, but that's not going to happen under Trump. I got to move it on. Appreciate it.
All right, support your local liberal.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Absolutely. By the way, and tap the screen. Get us on up to 130,000. Yeah, now what he is concerned with, my last caller is concerned with is if the Democrats get in there and do X, the next Republican administration in the future can just undo it. He's right, but my response to him is, why should they be concerned? That's kind of what's happening now. President Trump got in there and he's undid everything that the previous Democratic administrations have. He's already doing that. So if the Democrats get in there, do what you think is best for America, irrespective of whether you fear some president in the future is going to undo it or not. That's probably going to happen anyway. I mean, Trump has shown that, you know, Trump has undone everything. He's undone. He's undone, whatever the grammatical way of pronouncing this is, but Trump has undone everything that Biden has done to the point where it almost feels like Biden never served. I mean, it feels like we are on Trump's third term, that Biden was just some kind of governor or something in the interim. I mean, Trump never left the limelight during Biden's whole 4 years. You talk about Trump derangement syndrome, living rent-free in your head. Trump was attacking Biden the whole 4 years he was in office, up to and including even directing the Congress to not approve bills and things that that Biden was proposing. He was literally attacking Biden the whole time. So, and I guess we could also suggest he was attacking Obama most of his time in office as well, and I will tell you this, I don't understand why folks suggest that. I don't know why the liberals don't like him. I mean, this guy's been attacking people for going on about 15 years. I mean, he attacked Obama his whole term. He became president. While president, he was still attacking Obama. He lost to Biden. He continued from the sideline attacking Biden the whole time. He got reelected, and now he's in office attacking both Biden and Obama as much as he possibly can. But yet the folks on the right don't understand why the Democrats keep having Trump derangement syndrome and attacking him. I don't get it. Anyway, looking in the comments, though, we're not talking about Donald Club, but we're talking about how stupid he is. What the hell? Well, come on. Biden was totally dementia his whole presidency. He's gone now, though. Why is he still attacking him? He's gone now. Not to mention he's still attacking Obama as well. And Obama clearly was not full of dementia, as you put it. And Biden would Trump's first term also say, well, listen, you're claiming that you don't understand where Trump derangement syndrome comes from. All I'm telling you is that when you attack as much as Trump, and even though Biden attacked a little bit, Obama had some choice. It wasn't every fucking day. Wasn't all on the internet, all on television, and every rap. Look, you can put the number of times Obama attacked Trump, the number of times Biden attacked Trump together, and actually multiply them by a digit and still not reach how many times Trump has attacked them. Because Trump speaks to the public a lot more than Obama and Biden did. Biden would go 6 weeks or more without talking to the public. You can barely get Trump to go 6 days. And every time Trump talks to the public, he's attacking one of them. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that Biden and Obama didn't attack Trump, but the numerical comparison is like night and day. Biden wasn't on TV enough to attack Trump as much as Trump is. I mean, Trump is hosting summits and shit. He just had a State of the Union address 2 weeks ago from today. He was attacking Obama and Biden during that. Obama's been out of office since 2017, going on 10 years, and he's still continuing to be attacked from Trump. I don't want to. You've served a whole term since Obama left, and he's still attacking him. 2026. Anyway, looking in the comments though, and yeah, he's attacking. Somebody said Harris as well. Yeah, he's attacking Kamala Harris too. People, I don't hear Biden or Obama talking about vice presidents at all. Do you imagine Biden talking about Dick Cheney? You didn't hear Biden attack. I mean, Trump regularly attacked Kamala Harris too. You don't hear them talking about vice. I mean, when the last time you heard Obama or Biden criticizing Mike Pence? Anyway, let me go back to the box. Trump is trying to divert attention from himself. No, it's working. He's doing a good job at it. Bro Akil says, my brother, good to see you. Good to see you in the comments as well. Tap the screen, get us on up to 130. I'll take the next caller. By the way, we're doing an open forum. We don't have a specific topic, even though there's a bunch of shit that's still going on, such as the Iran war we talked about, and whether there'll be a ground invasion. 54 billion or so has already been spent in the first few days. The Save America Act, whether or not you think that's necessary, and whether or not you think it's based on a legitimate reason to enact the Save America Act. Now, the Save America Act requiring the citizenship thing, it's expected that Trump does not have the votes in the Senate to get it. So what he wants to do is find a way to impose a national emergency and do it on his own. Executive order. And he's talking about filibuster or whatever the case may be, nuclear, whatever the case may be. But the Save America Act, you guys have heard about that. And he's also obtaining the records from polling places in Arizona now in regards to the 2020 election. So that whole cyber ninjas investigation thing, guess that wasn't good enough. So that's going on right now. Obviously, the economy and the rising gas prices, as I just stated 2 weeks ago from today, President Trump hosted a State of the Union address. One of the things he was taking credit for was how cheap gas was. Think he claimed at the time gas on average was $2.20 a gallon. He said that 2 weeks ago from tonight. Now, he was inaccurate back then. Gas was around $2.30, $2.40 on average in the country, but he said it was $2.20. Somebody needs to put that side by side, play him saying that while standing at a gas pump. Because obviously there's nowhere in the country that gas is anywhere near $2.20 only 2 weeks later. And last but not least, we haven't talked about Epstein at all anymore. That's kind of gone from the news. So looking in the comments, trust no American cunts. What? No one should forget about the Epstein files, especially if you have children. I don't think they're interested in getting those women justice for what happened to them as a child. I don't think anybody's interested in that. Certainly not in the Trump administration. I don't think Trump has never even mentioned the victims of what happened there. Trump has no policy, just a comedian. He does tell a lot of jokes. I'll give him credit. How many times have you heard MAGA say that what he said was just a joke? He tells a lot of jokes. Since 2014, the USA donated Ukraine weapons and munitions and offer another aid worth $96 billion in total. USA has already spent $50 billion on the war against Iran. Well, because we were giving the Ukrainians a limited amount of capable arms. Like we weren't giving them jets. We were not giving them long-range weapons. We were not giving them weapons that we are actually using now in Iran. The expensive shit. We're giving them javelins and, probably, small arm shit. We weren't giving them really high-tech weapons. That's why we could fund and assist the Ukrainians, as you put it, for a few years since 2014. You said we were giving them assistance, and we've only totaled $96 billion over the course of 12 years, whereas we spent over half of that in Iran over the course of less than 12 days. Yeah, they're talking about B-2 bombers and shit flying over Iran right now. Yeah, they're spending a fortune over there. Just the 50 some odd billion you mentioned we gave Ukraine, just to send all of those assets to that region cost $1 billion a day. Just to send all of those Navy personnel, all of the ships and shit subs, just to do that cost $1 billion a day. So yeah, we weren't giving the Ukrainians anywhere near that type of assistance. Facts, but you must remember the weapons he sold the Saudis and Israel. I don't think the Saudis did we give them any F-35s or F-22s? Did we give any of that? And I'll tell you something real quick before I go to the next caller. Get us up to 130 and I'll take the next caller. But I will say this. When we talk about the notion that we were trying to help protesters that are being abused in Iran, that's what Trump said, you said nobody gets an F-22. Is that true? Didn't we sell an F-35, which came out after the F-22? We sold that to somebody, didn't we? I think the UK or something. We haven't sold the F-22 to anybody, huh? I had to look that up. But I forgot I lost my train of thought. Oh, saving Iranian citizens. The notion that the Ayatollah was killing protesters. The reason I never believed that, because you mentioned selling Saudis weapons. We had Trump go and have a meeting with Kim Jong-un, even invited Kim Jong-un to the White House. Kim Jong-un mistreats his citizens far worse. An Iranian citizen has a significant amount of more freedom than a citizen in North Korea. And yet Trump had no problem having a friendly meeting with Kim Jong-un. Vladimir Putin is not known to give his citizens freedom. Trump has had a lot of friendly meetings with Vladimir Putin, has even called the guy a genius and a great leader. And of course, you mentioned the Saudis. The Saudis are horrible. You can't even survive in that country as a member of the LGBTQ community. I believe they execute women for infidelity. So the idea that America somehow cares about citizens being oppressed in Iran, does not fit the narrative of us doing business with oppressive leaders all over the place. Why the hell is Iran, their ability to protest, so important from the same guy who gave Afghanistan back to the Taliban? Taliban is just as oppressive. If the Taliban is more oppressive than the Ayatollah in North Korea, in Iran. Trump didn't have any problem negotiating with them. So he's negotiated with the Taliban. He's negotiated with Kim Jong-un, Putin, and the Saudis. The Saudis have a $2 billion deal with his daughter and son-in-law. So why the hell, after seeing all of that, not to mention ICE and all of the shit they've done, deporting people back to oppressive countries and places where they may die, why the hell would we believe that the goal of this administration is to help out citizens of Iran? Nothing they're doing makes that make sense. That, to me, is the dumbest thing you could ever come up with. We don't give a damn about the Iranians. We don't give a damn about the Iranian citizens. If they put in a leader that is pro-America, a Western-friendly leader, they could go right back to oppressing their citizens and we wouldn't give a damn about it. We just want to change that regime so that they do what we say. Don't develop a nuclear weapon, don't fuck with our oil or whatever. In fact, give us some of yours. As long as that leader is friendly to the West, we don't care if he's oppressing his people. We wouldn't give a damn about that. So yeah, we're not there to defend the Iranian citizens. That's a bunch of bullshit. It's pure corruption. Trump is in it for money to his family. Says, wow, bro, he is making a lot of money. He is making a, but I don't believe that MAGA or Trump or any of them give us a shit about Iranian citizens. If an Iranian found a way to escape that so-called oppressive regime, and I do believe the Ayatollah is oppressive, but if an Iranian escaped that oppressive regime in Iran and found a way to come here, we wouldn't even give them asylum. We wouldn't even let them stay here. So Trump would deport the dude, send him to Africa somewhere. We wouldn't even let them stay here. We don't care nothing about those people. 5 or 10 of those people show up on shore asking for asylum in America. Trump wouldn't even let them stay here. We don't care nothing about them being oppressed. Anyway, look at it, but it sounds good, I guess. It sounds good to say it, but no, that ain't true. Let me go back to the box. Help your boy out with the TikTok cap goal. It would be kind of you. Real quick in the box, we'll go to Tamar. Good evening, Tamar, New Jersey's best. What am I getting wrong? Tamar, good evening. Facts, they deported the few that, we're deporting people back to some of the worst countries on earth. We don't care about people being mistreated. Tamar, good evening.
What's going on? I seen you on your boy Colt Talk live today.
Yeah, well, he had some internet problems though, so I don't know how much of it was viable.
Yeah, no, I couldn't even listen to it.
Yeah. So
what's up, dude?
We have it an open forum, so this is pretty much a free for all. Trying to make the program entertaining, trying to tweak it a little bit. So we're taking. And not to mention, we're also taking political questions on whatever you want to talk about. But fortunately today, up to the point where I got on live, it was a slow news day. But apparently it's speeding up now in Iran. But it was a slow news day up to that point.
Yeah, you said they're bringing the B-2 bombers, right?
Yeah.
I wonder how much that cost.
Oh, man. Those just per hour of flight, those things are ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and it's crazy. Like all these people, the Colts, all of them are saying like, "Oh, well, what about Minnesota? Minnesota's is saying hold my beer with all the money got all the fraud that happened in there." I'm like, how can you even compare what's going on right now to that? And most of those people got locked up, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a matter of we can pay attention to fraud from people we don't like. And we found ways to overlook it if it's perpetrated by people we do like. Jackson, thank you. So I think that's what it is. We don't like the Somalis, so their fraud stands out. If Trump pardons somebody that committed fraud, you don't hear about it.
And he literally lied last night when he was when that reporter asked him a question about the Tomahawk, and he's like, "Oh, we sell them to other people." And then the reporter pulled his card and told him. And he's like, "Oh, well, I just don't have enough knowledge about it," or some shit like that.
Yeah,
Like the president of the United States.
yeah. I